All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the PlayVS Fall 20 College Championship. That's right, today is the grand finals, and this is the home for scholastic esports competition in the Fortnite scene. I will be the man of the hour here, MonsterDface, joined with the other mans of the hour, ShyoWager and Reisshub, bringing us all the analytics throughout the course of the day. Shyo, what's up, my bro?
I'm feeling good, man. Yesterday was some insane heats, 1 and 2. Definitely had some standout trios and guys who just seep by on the line. I want to see what that actually amounts to today in the grand finals. What about you, Reese, man? How are you feeling today?
I'm ecstatic. I'm very, very excited. Like I said, we had some really, really good games yesterday. The quality was phenomenal. Storm Surge, every single zone, every single game, almost. Huge competition coming through today. So I'm hoping we see the same things, and I'm sure we will.
And that was just the heats, right? 33 teams moved on. It was 8 long weeks of competition. A lot of those teams that performed up towards the top stood there, right? They stood there. But either way, we have to continue to run through the show flow of the day. So those transitions will come in here shortly as we see them unfold. But yes, that was the entire heat system, right? We got to see everything there. So with that, let's go ahead and catch up though. Let's toss to a quick recap trailer just in case you didn't tune in yesterday to show you guys what it was all about. 20 College Championship is underway, and the first team we're hopping in with is Zeus, Quip, and High Flex at Haven here. And you can see, according to the name, they're not quite landing at the Haven. He's going to be stretching on out to the Coliseum here. It's a little bit of a mixed, looking at his teammate. This is the pressure being up high. Working together, though, dropping down as a full team. They're going to run through the low ground, and yes, they find every elimination down there as well. First mid-game fight here in Heat 2 Game 3. And a popular team, one of the bigger teams, is down right now. Can they get the save? Yes, Carpsy does get saved just in the nick of time. Talking about the charge here. Villain has one. Shots come out. It's looking good for them. It's a connection there. Mike goes down, and they jump in. It's a full team wipe. Out the door they go. What is that? 7 eliminations for the trio. Instance. Here's a nice wide shot look at all the players on the outskirts. Mike, DJ, and Carpsy. Carpsy being knocked right now.
Maybe save him at the very end of the game, but he's dropping down, getting beamed 25 HP, drops down, and another elimination for the Aura Trio, but they can take it out at the end. It looks like the game's wrapped up. Here's a big replay from that beam side to see exactly who ended up winning out. The shots were there, and no, it was not Crispy who ended up taking that win.
He clutched out right there. The rip to go fist. We talked about how he can change that high ground dynamic. You never know.
With the flopper down below, it'll turn up into a heal game. End game of 4, Tapsy at the bottom. The final drop down, but Dylan doesn't make it.
9 eliminations for his team, but Carpsy, DJ, and Mike walk away with 4 elims for them. And just like that, you have it. Your game 2, Heat 2, just closed out. But what a game for Connor, Gage, and Exceed there. Definitely prestigious 6 games. Take their shot at the $100,000 in prizing scholarship funds. One step closer. Every second that passes, one moment closer.
I think everyone finally understands the gravitas of the situation. So many
go to the end game and end up pulling away. So yes, it has been a very fair amount of games. If you didn't qualify through this time around, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Here's Rhino up on high ground, giving a little take the L to the lobby. Zate Classic or so. Full trio here, and all your materials. Speedy though, still looking for more fights now, looking to break into these walls. They're on the aggressive mid-layer push, and yes, they do. They find another knock now. Onto High Flex, and they will be able to pick up that loot.
Connor's still looking down. He hasn't taken out anything else. There's a hint of him having a tactical shotgun. I needed a reminder too. If there was anything else that we're doing.
I was just gonna say the way you win now is you cancel anyone from healing. You go down and you rip them up. Connor needs to do just that, and just like that, they walk their way to a victory royale. Connor's been here before. He's been playing Fortnite for the longest of periods. You know he has the strategy named there, so I don't know what kind of trio they got, but this is their end game. These are their final moments now, Shyo.
Yep, and this is a duel, not a three-man squad all the way to the very end. There's Shockwave going straight up for height. Thanks is in there, trying to just delay it off, trying to say that you cannot take height from me. But a quick shot comes down from Tax, who's making this aerial warfare seem absolutely flawless. And it is. Him and Thanks end up winning out heat number 2's game number 1.
That was the highlight package that you just watched unfold right there. Just like that, as we said, it was a very intense day of competition. 2 heats, 6 games each. Obviously, now we have our 33rd team, or 33 team. Shyo, you saw what happened when Connor and crew got rolling. They didn't stop breaking all kinds of records here.
And that wasn't just on the leaderboard, right? That was in game after game. If they had height 5th zone, it just translated to a win overall. I think Reach mentioned the stat. Every time Connor was alive, these guys always got towards that top 5 and got close to that win as well.
Yeah, incredible consistency from that trio. But on top of that, T-Flix trio coming out of the other heat that we saw, equally as good and as consistent. And, you know, we kind of alluded to this already, but these guys seem to be contesting each other off spawn at Dirty Dogs today. So something very, very exciting we're going to see.
Hey, and we're going to see it in the chat, man. It's Bay State Esports from Connor, Gage, and Exceed versus Maryland Esports Training Academy, aka Meta Elites, and that's T-Flick, Cascat, and Titan. You had some fun facts about these players, though, especially Titan and Team. Let's talk about how that correlates here, Reese.
Yeah, so Titan in particular was the player who had the most time alive yesterday out of all of the heat. So he was that guy who was getting the most placement points out of everyone. And across 2 heats, that's really, really impressive to see one player pick up such amount of time, because that clutch factor is really, really big for these teams, right? One player managing to pick up so many placement points and have that ability to clutch. That's what you want on your team. You don't want someone who's not going to get those placement points. You want someone like Connor as well, who also we saw multiple times stay in line in games, also consistently getting the placement points.
And let's bring it back to yesterday. You asked me at the end of the show, is Connor the carry? I mean, if this was a fighting game scene, it's Connor slides in, Titan slides in, big VS sign pops up in the middle. It's the versus, right? That's what we're looking at. 2 players that have really been the voice, but the clutch factor for the squads here, Shyo. You obviously know how important it is to have that pillar, that anchor in a team support role. How do you think it's going to play out? Who are you hedging your bets on here today, Shyo?
I feel like Gage is sometimes always overlooked, and especially yesterday, we were talking about clutch plays in general. Exceed was kind of the backbone for Connor's trio in terms of how he was allowing the other 2 to be able to have the space to make the plays they needed to make. So I feel like I give the edge towards Connor's trio. They didn't have as many, you know, total points as the T-Flix squad. I feel like that side of the heat in the beginning was getting a little bit higher compared to Connor's, but then they brought it back towards the end. I feel like either way, though, it just depends on what happens in the mid game, where the zone goes, because as Reese mentioned, these guys are both starting at Dirty Docks.
And go ahead, Reese, because all I was going to say was I feel like it comes down to the drop spot.
Well, it does. It all comes down to drop spot. We've seen some multiple tournaments so far that being contested off spawn is an extremely difficult thing to do. And in particular, if you want to take that first place slot, you can get into those top 5s, but actually taking first is going to be tough because you have to fight off spawn every time. But already there's 39 chests in Dirty Dock total. So a lot to split. So these guys potentially could get that loot and then disengage without fighting, but I don't think that's how it's going to turn out.
And that's just 2 of the trios we're going to be looking at here today. Let's go ahead and run the player list. Let's look at everyone else that is going to be showing up, participating. You can't forget the other big names, right? This is going to be the Heat 1 standing, kind of how it stands for the first set coming in off the bat. You saw T-Flick, you saw Cascat, you saw Titan there. This will refresh. It'll load up. Other players to look out for, though. Mars, Seven, B-Hegs. You cannot forget the others, right? Fuzzy, Steve, and Cinnamon Pancakes are ex-champions. They're going to be here to play too.
Yeah, and I think one of the big things too, you want to look out for all these squads that are playing a lot differently. We've been talking about T-Flick, will go in the end game, but Bricky Fishy, his trio, these guys in total, in terms of half in, half out, always have the highest point of the entire circle on where they base up. We have another page to jump to as well. There's some big trios there too. In 7th, we saw Kip, who always makes it to that top 5. And I guess we'll just come right back and talk about him. Kip, Zeus, and Hyflex at Haven. We started off the day with them, and they showed up time and time again, Reese. Is there anyone else on this page really, or we can just come back straight to Cam? Is there anyone else from Heat 1, do you think, really showed up, aside from that first place squad?
I mean, Wilgo's trio, performed extremely well, like we've already said. You know, they popped off with 175 points total. Very, very good performance overall. They were, as we saw, very, very confident going into that last game, staying on the high ground, emoting on the whole lobby, because they're kind of putting their mark on saying, I have performed today. I know exactly what we are here to do. These guys performed really, really well, and I expect the exact same thing out of them today.
That's it, right? That's kind of how it's all going to lay out. So from what we know from yesterday's breakdown, Reese, you brought in some great information off the jump, and this is one that has kind of stood with me. It's the fact that a lot of these major POIs were not contested coming in yesterday. Now, if any of these players did their homework, we're going to have overlaps, right? I feel like it's going to be a much different map dynamic. What happens when we come in today and now all these players that had a quote unquote free pass yesterday now have conflict on the drop spot, similar to our favorite six we're kind of looking at off the jump there, Bay State Esports in Maryland, Meta Elite, I'll just call them that because it's easier to cut it down. But, you know, we're going to see different dynamic here today, Reese.
We're going to see different dynamic, and game one is where this is all going to be solidified, because these teams don't exactly know where their other teams are going to be dropping. So they have teams from the other heats. I'm sure they've looked at the replays to see where they're going to be contested by, who they're going to be. And I'm sure teams are going to maybe change up their strategy, say, okay, maybe we can take this POI uncontested, go here instead.
Yeah, and just in terms of like that game one, it will definitely be that much more of a mess. In terms of getting into game and stuff, I believe we do have a scoring format to see exactly how the games show out, where these guys end up getting the points, how they get to triple digits. I mean, Reese, what are we looking at over here?
We're looking at fantastic format system where, obviously, remember, we have 33 teams, and once you hit that top 30 teams, not players, teams, 30 remaining, that's where you're going to start getting placement points. So 36 placement points available total, 6 plus for that victory royale. So just remember, 36 total, and each elimination being worth 1 point. So really, really nice, more placement heavy format. There's also an elimination cap at 20, which means if you get 21 eliminations, you're only going to get 20 points for it. The most we've seen so far has been 12 points in a victory royale, so not anyone kind of getting close to that 20 quite yet. So it'll be interesting. Maybe today we'll see it, those big elimination games.
And not only that, we saw the 12 eliminations, or the big eliminations, carry over. This is from the 8-week competition from Connor, Gage, and Exceed. They did that there in the heats yesterday. They did it in the 8 weeks in lead up. Let's talk about the prize pool as well, though. A $100,000 is on the line. A chunk of this has already been given out to the people that played in the heats, because 11 through 50th best teams from yesterday's heats are still going to earn something no matter what. Obviously, today, everyone, the rest of the 33 players, still will battle it out for what's left of the $100,000 in prizing here, the scholarship. But let's not forget, first place is the prestigious trophy to go along with it, Shyo.
Yeah, you got that trophy. You got, once again, $100,000 in scholarship funding for first place. That means $15,000 split 3 ways. You can apply towards textbooks. You can apply towards that school funding as well that you need for those courses. Past that, as Monster mentioned, everyone from 34th down to 50th place has already gained $1,000. Past that, we'll see who can break past the 11th point mark. The top 10 is what we're going to be focusing on today at the minimum, and at the max, we want to know who ends up with that trophy and that first place prize.
Yeah, and this is just a start, right, of what PlayVS is planning for the entire year, or actually, I guess, the conclusion of the year, right? There's so much more, and we'll be able to show the schedule here shortly, because the year of 2021, make sure you guys stick around for the conclusion of the show, because there will be announcements that we'll make on behalf of PlayVS as well. And let's just go ahead and take a look at that for you guys here. Obviously, we're in the pre-show. We're laying down the law. We're telling you guys what's in store. You guys saw the recap video. After that, though, coming up shortly will be games 1 through 6. That'll take on all the way until 8:30 ET p.m. tonight. And then directly after that, after we crown our champion, our winners of the Fall 20 event today, we will also tell you guys about the Spring 21 update, what is coming next for PlayVS College, and the entire roadmap, right? So there you guys have it. The games are almost ready here. Reese, before we let you go back off to the darkness, the void that is the analyst, corner, let's just call it that. Any predictions, any bold takes here?
Predictions, I'm just looking for those uncontested draw spots. I've talked about it a ton. I almost feel like I always just talk about draw spots over and over again. But as soon as the game starts, I'm looking who is being uncontested, who's not, and then I'm gonna make my prediction after that, because I'm gonna let the numbers and the stats decide it for me as well.
And Shyo, you as well?
For me, I'm just going all in with 100% bias. Let's see Connor take home the trophy. Let's see Connor in first place.
All right, let's see it. We're going to watch the drop spot right now. Seems like the battle bus is just about to be underway here, and game 1 is starting up shortly. The PlayVS Fall 20 College Championship games begin right now, and we're kicking it off with Gage, Connor, and Exceed. The drop spot is the Dirty Docks. It looks like everyone is sticking to the same drop.
And this is definitely going to be the dirtiest of docks we're going to see coming through, because it's the top 2 trios that were miles ahead of everyone else on day number 1 in both heats. These are the titans of both heats, with a titan of his own on one of them.
Yes, sir, and we'll be able to see Connor's perspective in just a moment here as well. For now, you guys get double trouble if everyone is hopping in here, and yes, they are contested. You can see Cascat and company off in the distance. Connor and Exceed land close with one another. It's important for them to do so. So we have a bit of a split here on the POI. They're sharing the location, obviously huddling up on each of the drop spots. So it's like a north versus south, right? It's the east versus west split here. I don't know who has the better loadout. I feel like the better drop spot is the dock area, the backside, the waterfront, because you have access to the pallets.
Early on, 100%, but then after that, once you have to leave / move on to the rest of the map, Connor's side of the map, or Connor's, or just from the perspective we're watching from Exceed, this front side part of Dirty Docks, kind of the north side, actually gatekeeps anyone from leaving the POI in general, especially as we see the zone going towards the center portion of the map. So these guys will have to be careful on timing. Definitely, though, agree with you, Monster, for the start of everything. You can just see how shambles Exceed is already. The other guys from heat number 1 we're going to be watching with T-Flick and Cascat, they probably already have max materials in terms of wood and are probably looking for a few angles for shots.
Maryland Esports versus Bay State Esports right here, right now. Bit of a passive hold from both of them. I can genuinely appreciate the fact that no one wants to dive in on one another. Everyone's trying to get their loot together. Luckily for Exceed, Connor, and Gage here, they have somewhat of a full deck of cards, right? A full hand of cards, I should say. It's shield across the board. It's shotguns and other things to back them up. And honestly, on the dock, they're all huddled up with one another, just getting their loot together. There's enough firepower in Gage's inventory to take the fight, but do you really want to risk your game 1?
I don't think you do. I think the entire server's on that wavelength as well. Past Tigers and their squad, because it's the only individuals who have eliminations right now. There's only been one squad that has really gone down so far. Everything else is kind of like a stalemate we see right here. Every POI being split down the middle.
Without a doubt, and look at that. Cascat's going to rotate on out, so it seems like everyone's just vibing here, waiting for an opportunity. Connor's going to slide on up, though, and Gage is already in an offensive position here with the ramps out in front. You hear the markers coming out. They have eyes on someone. Exceed has high ground, too, so he can see everything. Little does he know, though, Cascat's got that cheeky angle. This is a game of chess here.
The results of this chess game will ramify themselves and cascade into the game number 2, all the way up to 6. I don't think either team wants to leave this spot today. We'll just see fight after fight after fight. So winning the first one is the biggest thing for the mental attitude, for the momentum. I'm not sure if Connor got seen past that corner there just yet. But T-Flick looks to be a little bit agitated, a little bit more angsty. He's built a lot on this right side of the docks and kind of got his team a bit more space than Connor's trio has.
I mean, it's funny. We talked about whether or not you want to risk your game 1. Connor is going for it, and I can respect this push here, too. Equally so. It's going to be a big fight now as it's all breaking out. Great shots there are going to land down. This is grand finals. I can feel the intensity already as everything is on the line here. Remember, it's for the $100,000. It's for the pride to say you won the draw spot and you didn't back down either. Big shots coming in here, though, and they're going to come down with a big chop. That's going to cost them a lot of material already.
Huge resources just kind of taken away completely, and those are all hard mats. Notice now Cascat forced to just use wood walls. Titan already put so many down to help T-Flick extend their domain on the dock side, but they got pushed back into the Dirty Docks POI. They have nowhere else to go. Cascat beamed up already. Titan, no more shields to grab, but he has a power loadout with that purple tactical shotgun. If this fight does end up getting close and personal, I feel like Titan in this squad has an advantage. I think that's the reason why Connor and Gage are staying back and taking these 3-angle prong AR fights. There's nothing the squad can do to counter that.
Yeah, they definitely have the AR advantage, and I love this. They're playing to their strengths instead of the opponents, but these big tags might be a little bit of a false floor, right? They get a little false positive out of this and maybe feel the need to push in. Got to be careful. First tag's going for Connor. He wins 52, but doesn't get the third. And because of that, now they have to push in, and the first knock goes to Bay State Esports.
They even have time for a shakedown, which could be huge. Bay State's going to have a very good advantage here, but Maryland is going to have to be forced to stay in this POI, fight for that card, and go for the reboot. The clock is ticking too. Zone's moving, and Dirty Docs is not exactly the fastest POI to leave for the circle, no matter how close it is. Cascade has a lot of white heals, but these guys will definitely have to do some damage before anything else.
And more importantly, now the zone's moving through. I mean, we ought to get a look at the storm line to see how far they have to push now. Because with 3 minutes on the clock, I mean, you don't have a lot of time to farm back up on the way. And clearly, the zone's going to be coming in. So the decision for Titan and Cascat now is to possibly leave their trio behind. And it seems like that is going to be the call here as they're backing off now, trying to give themselves a little more distance. Connor and crew might just be on the hunt here shortly, but they're sitting on the card. They're waiting it out. That's a dirty strategy, but an effective one nonetheless.
You got to keep it to the streets when you're at Dirty Docks. You got to have some rough fights, some eye pokes there in the boxing match. These guys are acting like they're leaving Cascade and Titan, but they might just loop back around if they have some amount of time. Past that, though, there is one more team that just built up over that little array tower. Still not sure how far zone is, but with the speed of this zone moving, I feel like it has to be somewhat close.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be a cut here. Gage does see that they're rotating on out. They're going to go in the opposite direction. Good call for them. And it seems like it's going to be somewhat of a dead side rotate. Here's that map shot we're wanting and looking for. They don't have the longest draw and distance pull on the zone, but they do still have a fairly long one nonetheless. Lucky for them, there's not a lot of teams between where they are and, of course, the new safety of the storm line. So they should be A-okay to make a free rotate and bounce back in this game. But, Shyo, anything else that stands out, I mean, across the rest of the map?
The most interesting thing is that not only are Titan and Cascat a duo, but every other trio that is not Connors around Dirty Dogs is just operating with 2 players. So even if these guys come out of Dirty, a little bit less on HP, they have the man advantage on every trio around them. Everyone else will be playing scared. They'll have a free rotate in. Past that, though, Monster, middle of the map, Sweaty Sands. This is where Thanks, Tax, and Phantom decide to start their game and have a good foundation of ammo and loot.
Yeah, we saw them popping off yesterday. Definitely on the up and up when it comes down to it. UWM showing up in full effect here. Let's see the Sweaty Sands rotate. They do have that safety zone. This is going to pull completely west. On that map shot, I saw a team fighting down here. This is the one I was going to say, down here towards the Slurpy Swamp. It looks like it's extending into the zone line, into the storm. This is a messy, messy fight. Walla and CKM are all that's left here. It's a 2v2, so both sides already exchanging losses. Mackle Kate being alive. Jelly comes up, though. Hold up. Tags go out. I hear a charged shotgun on the other side, and the punishment is there. It's a 1v2. Can CKM do this? And no, even though they were so low, it wasn't enough. Not enough big shots here to win out.
Yeah, letting a lot of shots while being mobile. You kind of just take away a little bit of damage, not aiming in, but it's all good. Feels like he did all the damage to Mackle. No, he had a med kit, actually, so it doesn't even get that kind of hindrance there to the squad. Jelly will be able to make it in, hopefully find a reboot van as well. Here's someone else we were talking about earlier, Mars 7 and BX. These guys were looking so good at the start of yesterday. Slightly dwindled out, but still finished top 5.
Yeah, University of Maryland here. Mars 7 and BHEGS, one of the more consistent squads. Also, one of the other teams that have a lot of earnings. BHEGS just having a history of, I guess, competitive play dating back in, back in the days with Phase Funk, Symphony. But as far as how it stands to this season, how it pertains to how he played in lead up to this, he actually finished first place in week 5 and week 8. So the most recent weeks that came into this whole entire heat system to qualify his way to grand finals, this is the team that was on top.
A lot of teams kind of showed us yesterday that they were slightly ahead of the pack. It was about 4 to 5 per heat. At the same time, when it came to box fights, we saw trios that might not have the best endgame mechanics, still have such good fighting prowess. Someone like that is honestly this trio on the screen. Kip, Highflex, and Zeus doing so well at fighting together, but always seem to be a man down in the end game. I hope these guys did their VOD reviews, learned a bit, because today it's all about landing those deep placement points towards the end portions of the zone.
That's right. Representing for Miami University, Ohio. You can see that they're on the move right now, playing a dead side rotate as well, going with the wide cut all in about here, not looking to be too hasty for running into the storm line. You can see they've landed somewhere near the Coliseum because they have that Mandalorian sniper there in the inventory. And I mean, with a hybrid weapon like that, that weapon, I could honestly say, fits very well into the meta.
It actually does, especially when you're somewhere near the top side of Stealthy Stronghold. The thermal imaging on it makes it so that you can't hide in those bushes, can't hide in any trees at Weeping Woods. But at the same time, you got to look at their loadout. Didn't have too much shield. Now we're on Code Red, Trigger, and Thrust from Akron. These guys were looking so good yesterday in the way they kind of broke down their end games. For heals, these guys are looking way on top.
And this is a team that missed the Season 0 cutoff, right? So they didn't actually make it to the Season 0 championship. One of the few teams that actually missed out, but qualified here, coming into the Season 1, coming into this big kickoff. And if there was one you want to qualify, it's this right here, right? This is a step up in a much bigger direction. $100,000 on the line now. It's always live for the now, not the past here. So obviously on an upwards trajectory here. Salty Towers is going to be the mecca of the players. Look at this. Everyone's trying to get inside. Remember, these buildings as well, Shyo, are made out of brick, right? These are great locations to house full bases out of.
Yeah, it's really good to just refarm. They're up high as well. Sometimes you can even fit 2 trios, one in the basement, one on the top floors here and there. We were just focusing on River, Scrub, and Duke. They are in Salty Towers as well. These guys playing from Ashland University. They were actually just looking really good overall in the collegiate Fortnite scene in general. I've seen these guys play normal scrims past that too in Season 0, past that as well in some random elimination race tournaments. They get their hands in a lot of different pots, and right now we'll see if that experience can actually give them the edge on everyone else in this tournament today.
All right, here we go, though. Thanks putting in some shots right now. Seems like the pressure's coming in. A little bit of a standoff. 978 damage above the Storm Surge threshold. There are ways to acquire some of that additional damage. If you didn't get the extra damage, though, you're standing out. Noms is down right now. This is the team that I think just squeaked through, right? That 17th placement for their heats. We were talking about it yesterday, how close it was for some of these players who was going to come down to the wire, and it seems like their squad was one of those here. Now in a big fight here, not lucky for him, not completely thirsted, so still there's an opportunity here for them to get back into this.
We'll see if they can get Noms back up. You have to realize in the grand finals, though, it's so hard to find those heals and hold on to them. And even see already there's some players in other squads like Trigger, Thrust, and Red. There's only one player that has a few minis, maybe a flopper here and there. You don't have the liberty of taking too much damage or going down. Even saving shockwaves, as you need those for endgame, but they're used right now. But it looks like Burrito's squad to somewhat take height or rotate somewhere else. Noms does get finished and picked up by Instinct, giving these guys... Oh, they didn't even get the elimination. It was all off a third party. And the box fight just continues, Monster.
Yeah, it's going on and on here, but their full trio still, as I mentioned before, they had a disadvantage. The big shots come in, and Code Red evens the playing field a little bit more now. It's a knock, though, but we know in trios settings that extra player can always go for the res off, so things should be a-okay here as the bounce back continues, but the shockwave might just disrupt the pickup. No, Code Red gets it off. Even with the shockwaves coming out, Trigger tries to get back up to his teammates. He is going to be successful, and he goes, and down goes Instinct. A monstrous shot there. It's up to Mogul now to swing in. Again, 2 men down now. Mogul by himself. Can he get the save here? Maybe pick up his teammate. Go for the runoff. I'm not sure. Pressure's on.
Bet. Pressure's definitely on. These guys might just be fighting over Surge, but it looked like both teams were way in and ahead. Only 2 people need to go down as well, so it might not just be the case. Kmart down, though. Instinct back up. That reboot at Holly's not going to be somewhere these guys can really reach out to and get, so they'll have to disengage. Remember, it's just game 1. Both teams want to make that end game, get the experience and a feel for how this tournament plays out itself.
It's just a start here for most. Zone 3 already closing. We're having fun in the sun, though, because time is flying by here as we're already onto Zone 3, the standoff. The team that we followed at the start of the show, Bay State Esports, is here and alive. They make it to the Salty Towers, and they're back in it. Connoisseur was the only team that finished top 10 in every game during the heats. It may have been Titan who had the time alive, but it was this trio that consistently made it all the way through to the very end.
But at the same time, Monster, we saw yesterday, even though they were making the top 10, it was players in the caliber of Titan who stayed last alive, who ended up clutching against Connor's team. I believe we saw a bunch of second and third places when they should have honestly been first. So we'll see if they've trumped that. If not, the time alive should counter the average consistency of just making top 10.
Not a doubt here. Hold up though. Mogu by himself with Instinct has to work together. They're in the low ground, not looking to do anything too big. Instinct took some control, but no, the Stormline does enough too, and tagged from off in the distance. Off to hard mats to have to tunnel with now. This is a good position to be on a rotate though. He does have a lot of terrain to work with. You can see the hilly kind of crevices here that he can play off of to break line of sight from a lot of the other trios. They should be okay to get to new zone if they have just enough mats, but I'm not sure. Mogul only has 3 now left. No, he gets tagged again here. I think he realizes that it's time to stay low, keep a low profile. And there, buys him a couple more moments. Big names off in the distance, though. I see Steve McSweat there with his whole trio. Husant still alive as well. Chris Dotson Dillon on the left there. So, a couple names that were having some great performances in the heats. Now in the grand finals.
Harsh Harmony and Control also moving through that center portion of the map. We have Jelly, Speedy, and Mackle. Just saw them unfortunately taking a storm fight. Jelly clutching out now. The entire trio looking very good on shields and have Speedy back up into the game. We go back to the big spot, the HQ of the Fortnite scene, Salty Towers, and we still have Tax Phantom and Thanks on top.
That's what it is. They have the high ground here, and they're able to look all out. Their loot is actually very, very nice as well. Pleasantly surprised by the fact they have 6 shockwaves, max material already. Pretty good hold on the 4th zone too. That's massive leading into the half in, half out. Here comes the pressure. Tax with just a compact SMG to put pressure in the distance. This is something we see someone like Tfue run when you watch moments of him in competition. He'll favor anything that gives him that close range advantage.
Man, we've been seeing this, I think, all day yesterday, today too. The end games, the zones are just poetic. Always just split down the middle between grass and sand. We're seeing it again. That just means flat land versus the terrain Monster was talking about. It doesn't get any better than this.
Can be a little better for GW. He's almost fully targeted and griefed out of the lobby here, but lucky for him, he's going to be able to bounce back. No, those shots are still coming in. It's Cut and Fish on the other side there. Sergeant Sash. Luckily for him, though, he didn't get taken out because he does have the most valuable tool in the end game here, which is those Rift to go Fish. Check the loadout. Tactical AR. Loses the wall on the other side, though. It's Jenkins there who wants to fight. He tries to go for the exchange and no. Loses. Big time as well. The punishment. It's going to cost him. Digs into the HP cost.
It can't be this active right now. Not with this loadout. This just screams to me, hey, we want to make it to 7th zone and just be a little bit passive with it, but they get dynamic. Eagle actually getting taken out. Now Jenkins is on the back foot. They could possibly secure this, get all those mats back. We were talking about the less amount of shields, the health pool they dip into. They could find some more, but Scrub is going dangerously low.
He gets tagged big time there. The sniper shot comes in from Jenkins. These are 2 teams that need a Storm Surge. Jenkins, Siphon, and Eagle end up on the losing side of it. If the Storm Surge finishes them off now, they walk away with that Elim because they've done the last bit of damage, and I think they realize here they're just holding out. No need to do it. Wait for the last second. He walks into a free fire. Instead, it's Duke. GWA now on top. 3 eliminations in their favor. Refresher as well. BHEX, 7, and Mars find another one too here. 4 eliminations for them. And that should just be about enough to beat the Storm Surge. Now, Connor falls in the feed to Jaw Crispy. That's what happens when Surge goes off. Everyone gets into the action.
Everyone in this first game of the grand finals of the Fall 20 Championship for the collegiate scene, brought to you by PlayVS, is in trouble. They aren't used to the stackiness of this game. Even some of the best trios that always make top 10, like Connors, are 1 man down. And as we move over to the desert, to the flatlands, it's the base that matters the most. There's people falling out of the sky, people shockwaving into zone by a trio, split amongst some teammates as well. It's getting kind of crazy right now, and the zones even haven't started moving yet.
Look at that. Everyone's on the move here. Half in, half out. The huddle up begins. Shots are going out. Textbook here. 3 elims for Sage, DMA Law, and Dip. They're looking to get some more. These should be some opportunities to find some. Q the Wiz doesn't have health. Compact SMGs are shredding through all the builds there. The tracking seemed to be good. But no, he layers up. Someone else finds him. It's Jaw Crispy, the same player that just took out Connor as well. Got the full thirst there. Zone's going to pull completely far. Everyone in the lobby has to continue to go. Sage is going to go with an early move on it. He wants to get ahead of the storm line. They have 8 peppers, though, so a couple of options here for mobility.
Yeah, they can get really fast, and we know over at the dunes, over in the sand, that low ground can sometimes be your biggest ally. It doesn't change too much and can be easily maneuverable. There's not too many big hills, just some little bouncy dunes. We'll see exactly where Sage ends up going, just staying on this mid ground there. They could easily drop to low right now and save a lot of materials, but they're making sure to invest and have no one else really impede on their tarp. But here is the big view monster on height. We have Carpsy, DJ, and Mike.
It's looking just like Heats yesterday. They're up on top, and they're finding knocks off it as well. Soy Domo is going to fall there to Mike. Zeus is going to fall. Soy Domo gets completely finished by Mike, and now 7 goes up for high ground. He's trying to think about it. No, instead, it's to get to his own layer. Little did I realize his teammate was down here, but does manage to find him back. His layer is being controlled by a couple other players, though. You have Harmony, Jelly, Circus there. A few others. Do have to be careful. 2 shockwaves, though. It's enough for both of them to make something big happen. This is where all the placement points really starts to cut in now. Remember, it was 24, 21st, 17. Every 3 teams that fall, points start to jump up. Then, of course, that top 10 things stagger a little more. The fight begins.
And slightly a little bit faster, though. Now it's just all about the tarps. Everyone else is getting a little bit freaky with it on height, on low. Shots coming out. Sage actually goes down, unfortunately, to Jelly. The clutch run of game 1 so far is looking very good for them. With Mars down now, 7 and BX are in a little bit of trouble. The mat is starting to run a little bit low in terms of the resource pool. It looks like they're now down to just wood, have 100 hard mats left just on 7.
Here we go now. 4 elims. Mars is down. This is a team that, again, last we checked, they were on top coming out of week number 8 in first place, week 3 in first place. They've taken champs before. Can they do it again as a 2-man team? DJ and Carpsy actually do something risky. They go for the safe strategy up in the air. Is it to play into the rift, though? Hold up. What's the idea here? Okay, so they've actually given up high ground, and now they're going to have to force their way down. Something's gone terribly wrong up above. Here is DJ. The bad dive down. And now he's floating like a sitting duck in the sky here. Carpsy's already touched down. You can see DJ's health slowly getting chipped away there. He's down to barely anything. Carpsy getting hunted down now as well. 10 mats, no mats. Scratch that. DJ still up. Gets tagged all the way into low ground. He goes just enough to stay up, but no, not for very long. But it's still top 8 here.
DJ's down now, all up to Carps. He just has 1 shockwave to his name. We'll see what he does with it. We switch off on height. We do have Scrub River alive, but once again, is their teammate up? Yes, yes, yes. Duke is there too. I think he's way, way up high, playing insurance, just in case there's some rifters up top. Harmony, Harsh, and Control, though, are holding down that mid ground. No one can really bother them. At low, though, it's a complete mess monster. Everyone's in a fight.
Ashland University up on high ground right now, putting that pressure down, putting on for the boys here. 6 eliminations. That is something to be proud of for a game 1 already. That's a W in its own. If they walk away with this victory royale, though, they're going to get so much more points in this placement heavy style format. 8 mats remain, though. It's not enough to maintain high ground, so they are going to have to get down and into it. Let's see. We've seen teams lose this before. It's all about how this next fight unfolds, how it all breaks out. Pressure comes in, though. Tactical AR. Just enough pressure. Just enough fire rate in order to rip through all these builds. You have to assume everyone down below is starting to run out here.
Yeah, everyone in the circle right now, including height, is just like the dirt beneath them, bone dry on resources. There's nothing, just wooden mats left. One team has a few metal tarps and pyramids to put down. They're finally ending it over. A 3v3, 2 teams fighting out. A shockwave actually blocked down by his own teammates' builds. Scrub is now stuck against the wall. He phases in. The shots are there. He gets crossfired. River picks up 1. It's a 2v2. Duke's in the shots. He doesn't get it. And it's the mid-ground team that plays consistently for that win.
Harmony, Control, and Harsh walk away with the victory royale just like that. It's John Hopkins University here who takes game number 1 of 6. What an exciting finish as well. It's not every day we see low ground teams win the game, but more importantly, like you said, Shyo, they were a mid-ground squad first.
Yeah, they were a mid-ground squad the entire time. They were actually holding out with a few refreshes here and there, but at the very end, the way they broke that final play down was just immaculate, Reese.
Really impressive. And like, they came it from Lazy Lake, and they have that fishing strategy, which we kind of talked a little about yesterday, gave them that rift fish. So they're pulling low ground in the 5th zone, and that's when they decided to use that rift fish, keep them moving to the end game. And that's how they kind of conserved those materials all the way through to the end. They didn't actually end up picking an elimination up until about 23 minutes into the game. So that's somewhere around the 8th zone. So these guys were playing very, very passive, doing a really good job of getting their kind of Storm Surge tags before that, keeping their materials, used that rift, kept them moving. Really, really great play. And, you know, this is looking good for them. I'm going to hope this is going to be consistent from here on out.
Yeah, and we'll get to see how that translates onto the standings as well. But that's an interesting stat. They had a fair amount of elims in that final zone. What was it, like 4 or 5 or so to take the victory royale? So that's what really matters, right? Is stealing away those extra points at the very end. Control, Harsh, and Harmony, though, Shyo, 42 points now because of the win.
Yeah, and those elims are putting them up as well past 5. We saw how many Duke had at the end, teetering all the way up to almost 8. River had that 1 more elim on the drop down. Past that, though, Fuzzy McWhiskers, Cinnamon Pancakes, and Steve McSweat, the brothers, +1 in 4th place at 27. There's a 1 point difference from 2nd to 3rd. And then past that, all the way down below, we saw Tax the way they were playing. Jaw Crispy also looking so good, took out Connor Squad at some point, but past that had so many elims, Monster.
Yeah, definitely. Jaw Crispy was putting players down, but the champions in 4th place, that's an eyebrow raiser there, Fuzzy. Cinnamon and Steve, you said the brothers +1. I'm saying the champions +1 here right now. 4th place is consistent. That's very much in the running right now. But again, we have a long story in front of us. Obviously, a couple more pages of standings as well that are being formulated here. We'll be able to see through that. 9th through 16th, everyone is still in the running here. What was it, from 10th and above, basically 11th and above, the big money starts to break out. This is really where you want to continue to stay within that bubble range. So it's still a battle. It's still very much a battle here with 5 more games in front of us.
And Mars 7 and Beggs there all the way up. You know, they've been so consistent through the regular seasons. Game 1 not starting off too strong for them because they were contested off of their spawn. So we're going to see how that kind of plays out further up. And what we've seen a ton and talked about a lot is Connor exceed Gage, Flick against Flick, Cascat, and Titan. These guys, again, contesting Dirty Dogs, fighting in the early game. And unfortunately, that kind of fight just drawn out too long because they had that kind of northwest first zone, left both teams with not too much loot at all. And they ended up going down 16th and 17th. So that fight clearly not paying off for these two teams who came first out of Heat 1 and Heat 2 yesterday. So we're going to see how that ends up playing up throughout the next few games.
Yep, and then past that too, we have Noms, Green, and Burrito, that one wild card 17th place team in the middle of the pack. Monster, many teams to see. That was just game number 1.
Yeah, definitely plenty. Even these on the back page. I mean, we hyped up Wilgo, we hyped up Nom's team. There's plenty of others there that are still very much superstars in their own rights that performed great yesterday in the heats that haven't quite had the run up today now, right? Just at least off the gate here. But like we said, there's 5 more games in front of us. The next lobby is pretty much being spun up right now. We'll be able to see that here soon. Reese, you got a taste of what kind of went down at the Dirty Docks. I mean, from our pre-game discussion, our pre-show discussion, was that about the way you expected it to go?
It was exactly how I expected to go. To be honest, sometimes I would have thought that one of the teams would be completely eliminated, and a lot of the times that just has the exact same effect where a lot of the players just can't seem to go through it because the fight just ends up going on for too long.
We'll find out here now. Game number 2 is ready. The battle bus is already on the way. We'll be able to deploy in with the players here as well. Once again, it's $100,000 in scholarship on the line here for PlayVS Fall 20 College Championship. So here we go. Here we have it. It's game time.
Yep, the doors are opening very, very soon. We might tune back in and see exactly what drops down over at the Dirty Docks. Might tune in with our game 1 winners. Jump over at Lazy Lake and see what fishes we can find, what loot we can also acquire from all those buildings and gas stations. And then is indeed that Lazy Lake landing we'll be seeing first.
Yeah, it's the meta. It's about playing into the winning formula and strategy, getting and securing the fish out the sea. It's kind of interesting, right? You think about Dirty Docks is one of those drop spots as well. You have low-key access to a bunch of fishing spots, but if you're fighting there, you just don't have the time because you then have to battle the storm on the rotate out. So I'm sure everyone's, you know, not happy when they get contested. So it makes for an interesting story. It really changes up the dynamic of your drop spot. Here's an entire area to themselves, though. Yesterday we mentioned Lazy Lake being one of those locations that houses the majority of a big bulk of chests. I think in comparison to any other drop spot, more right than most other drop spots.
Yeah, when it comes to classic POIs, Lazy Lake is honestly all the way on that top tier echelon of POIs, not only because of the chest, but the location and the fish, like you mentioned. Dirty Dock is also one of those big ones because it has that fishing capability. It has all that loot as well, a plethora of chests. The only issue is when you have these two top teams contesting it over and over, you will have hindrances. You will not have the smoothest ride going into your mid and end game.
We'll see if lessons were learned from the previous fight, or if people will tuck pride aside and get the rotate on out. It's going to be another 3v3, though, we're expecting to happen here. From when we first tuned in, no Gage was lit up, so it seems like he got tagged in the sky before he even managed to touch down. That would have been massive if he would have gotten knocked out. He had about 10 HP for a second there. Now, though, everyone seems to have bounced back. Shield is starting to be accumulated on all sides. Flick has a little bit as well. Connor here moving, has 2 chug splashes. Okay, that's going to hit the whole team. That's big there. They're in fighting position again now.
Looks like actually they're farmed a lot more than before as well. Now Connor, though, staying slightly low-key, only hitting mats that are out of vision. On the Maryland trio on the other side, the southern side, the dock side of the actual POI, they're actually going to be wrapping around all the way from the bottom right while leaving Gage on the left, once again making that pinch that we see only the top teams make in Fortnite.
Yeah, it's a widespread there. First tags, though, come out, and it's from Titan onto Exceed there. Lets his guard down, swings the corner a little too wide, trying to look for information, instead gets punished. Titan's going to back up, though, keeping his positioning. Still a mystery here. Gage wide and out. And they're deciding, they're thinking here as a team right now. How do we want to play this? Do we want to stand them out? Do we want to take this fight? Are they going to show themselves and give them the opportunity to do so? Connor is again the closest to the enemies, sneaking up behind those walls, trying to find information, but nothing is going to come from it just yet. And instead, this team backs up all the way again to the back dock, to the back warehouse. The distance, I mean, the distance is pretty far out now. They're very much far from one another. This looks like a very much disengaged opportunity here.
Definitely fully reset. These are going to be swimming off the backside as well to possibly catch that mid game.
Connor's there.
But Connor's there. I think Connor's fighting for that NPC to get that free surge. Same team is kind of, you know, the team that we're watching is trying to get that game plan down as well. But Connor's found it first, possibly also called in that bounty to see exactly where this team could be rotating. And now we get into a close range fight.
It's going to be called out. His team's on the way. They're coming in close. Connor's inside, but it's Titan, Cascade, and Flick who maintain high ground right now. Shockwaves come out, though. They want to come on up. Connor gets hit for 70 HP. 2 heavy AR tags is enough to take just about all the shield away. Gage now challenges the heavy AR. It's not going to be enough, though. Down to the low ground they go, and that digs once again into the very little bit of heals that they have.
I think Connor's team started off with less heals overall on their actual bars, but they have a big reservoir to be able to use. More shockwaves coming in and around. Gage has finally taken the high ground over, blocks off any type of offensive edit this box could have as well. The only metal box the other team has on height. See exactly how long this fight lasts too. Once again, Dirty Dock's not in zone. Connor does get all the tags he needs off the NPC inside the water. Past that, the spray does not stop. You have to remember, getting mats at this point is going to be very, very difficult. Takes a long time. The more shots Exceed, Gage, and Connor take, the higher chance they have when this fight goes close range to win this war of attrition.
Not only that, the less likely they are to survive the long game, though. Think about that. There's not going to be many opportunities to find more ammunition beyond this, too. So it is a double-edged sword they're playing with here. Let's see. Gage finds a shotgun shot, though, through the edit there on the wall break. That's a big one. This blue tack, they do have the advantage here. They try to come out with another shot exchange, doesn't find one. Gage mixing up the rhythm, but hold up. I hear shotgun shots on the other side. Gage gets hit from behind. It's pressure on both sides. His team is still very much healthy, though. Gage, the only one who's been tagged in this fight so far since Connor's hit for 70. He's back, though. Big pop being used. Once again, the storm line's on its way. 3 minutes for it to close.
Once again, these are the two first-place teams of the Heats yesterday fighting at the same POI. It looks like Exceed did take off someone's shield. That individual from the other squad possibly got it back up. This is basically Heat 2 versus Heat 1 in the grand finals. Mats are being split too to make sure everyone is staying healthy. And it doesn't look like anyone's even replacing any of the builds anymore that Exceed is trying to break down. It looks like this other squad has ran out of steam a little bit and might be showing some weakness.
Could be here that they're finally running out of material. Let's see, they're back down. They're in a corner, out for the build off they go, but no, shut down immediately. One side hop is all it takes. Gage finds another weakness here. Into the box he goes. He commits all the way. Cascat gets knocked. He needs to siphon material ASAP, but his teammates come down to back him up. And this is perfect because now, again, the storm's already here. They need to conclude this fight quicker. Did they get another one?
He had floppers, so they definitely have more time. Exceed has those splashes as well. Will not use them for shield. Wait for that zone. They're still pinching this down. I feel like you're just trying to send a message about the POI. I don't even think they're concerned about making that mid and end game. This is pure grief mode, and Flick is the receiver of all this hateful conduct. It looks like this grief. It's like there's nothing he can do.
It's just pressure here now. Points on the line, pride on the line as well. Once again, they take a single elimination. It's enough for them to feel comfortable with their surge tags and bounce back into the game. Chug splashes come out, so they're all very much healthy. Flick and company are on a ticking time bomb here. They only have a couple more, honestly, a couple more moments unless they find some HP. But they're just sitting on the campfire there. That's going to dig into whatever wood material they have left. So they still have a few more moments here to survive. Once again, it's similar to the last game. They lost a player, they lose the battle.
I just feel like in terms of organization for the spot, we're talking about what side's better. It seems like it's Connor's in terms of the position you get. You basically trap these guys in the POI. Cascat, we saw Monster, tried to swim out from this side, but couldn't. Still ran into Connor. They find a boat, could help them get in the zone, but I just feel like things will have to change next game, or maybe these guys have to find a new POI.
Yeah, definitely. And let's not forget, from the Dirty Docks to rotate on out, there's a fireplace just north of the Dirty Docks and one just west. So when it comes down to how you rotate out, there are plenty of ways to sustain yourself through the storm line, especially with vehicles as well. And you can see they're inside a vehicle. They're already gone and going. They're probably going to roll up on a campfire, heal inside the zone, and still make it to the next storm line safe and sound. As we jump in deeper here, Derpy, Dylan, and Arrow, we saw a lot of them yesterday had a very strong performance. Here's a squad we want to look out for. Charge shotgun in the inventory. Big pot here to bounce them right back, and it seems like they're right on the edge of Holly Hedges, looking to or hoping to hold the team out.
I want to try. I think the tone is very different from the other side of the map. They're always going to be looking for that big pick instead of just forcing that 3v3 fight. Siphon's so low now, up in the air. That's not the best time to use the rotation. My friend, he gets tagged down by 2 beams, and now it's just up to Eagle and Chenkins to try to survive the rest of this game.
There it is. This is Texas A&M University here. Dylan, Arrow, and Derpy popping off right now. The Elim is going to be a huge one for them. The team's already gone, though. You can see how quickly those curses are moving on the side of the map. They're going to have to ditch their trio. Smart moment to disengage here. Kind of forced to, honestly. Not sure if they had a vehicle or maybe some peppers with the movement, but they're gone. They were gone quick.
They jumped in that water. I think they might have found some type of boat or maybe spicy fish rotated. The best part of this side of the zone is there's not many people here. It's kind of like that dead side. Dylan, Arrow, and Derpy will find so much more space to work with. Already almost max matted. They can possibly replace that mini and those small fries in Dylan's inventory, but something better maybe from this mansion house or anything in between now and the next zone. So the whole server though is kind of on that flow monster, slowed down, looking for positions more, looking for tags, not really looking to wipe out full trios like Connor was trying to at that early POI.
I mean, interestingly enough, this game already has more players than game 1 did. We checked into this moment. There's about 78 alive last time around. Now there's 85. So however that first game unfolded, I'm assuming it was a wake-up call for what happens when you take early game fights. They can truly be a major setback. And for that reason, possibly more staying alive, being a little bit more passive now.
This is one thing that's always like constant in these tournaments is the learning process game to game. And I feel like it's a lot faster in the collegiate scene when even though they make faster mistakes and more mistakes, they learn from them even speedier.
Just what's on the line. Stakes are high. Here now, though, Sage Dip DMA being down and out. Seems like a chest is going to be landing here. Airdrop inside of Sweaty Sands. This is going to house, what's that? 2-4 players inside the POI. A bunch just outside of it. So you know the zone is favoring up towards this northwestern area. Teams are trying to take a stake here and a claim here early. 27 points for Sage Dip and DMA. Great opening game for them. Only 3 trios fully wiped out of the lobby so far.
You're gonna want to have more than just one good game though, right? You've seen it grand final after grand final. Sometimes it's not even about the win, it's just about being consistent, getting those top 5s over and over again.
All right, Pepper's popped. He's trying to see if he can make his way to this reboot van here. Let's see if it's going to be successful. We'll pay close attention. On the other side, Connor gets dropped. Gage is by himself here. Exceed is here to back him up, though. No AR ammunition. This is what we talk about. You rotate in late, you're probably at a disadvantage, but there are so many teams here. Luckily, Connor gets saved.
I'm a monster. You were talking about this. They've used so much ammunition in that early fight. They have really nothing to do right now but all in other teams, but put their lives at risk. Connor, though, got picked up before Jorgs could. Now Friar's on the back wall, literally and figuratively. One man down, and on the backside of his box, he can't make another, just fears a third-party beam coming through. There's the drop down. 3 people in the same box. Connor got the refresh on it, too, so he's way up in health on shield now. And these guys look like they're back in the game.
Back like they never left. 3 eliminations for them. Exceed's coming right back around to back up Connor here, too. And all of a sudden, they turned a terrible situation and made it a great one. So they came from the storm line and dived into a battle and then walk away with 3 additional eliminations. That is massive for them.
Not only that, they just have that position as well. So much room made on this top side. They can even take time to cut all the way to the left if they want to.
Look at that.
Once again, some more teams around them are just left in duos. They are the strongest team on the map right now on this side.
What's standing out to me, though, is the fact that Exceed and everyone else now has been able to split that ammunition count, and they have well over 150 each, which that in its own is pretty massive. That's what Storm Surge does, though. You can see that it's been forcing the lobby down, really thinned them out. 4 teams have dropped since then. Obviously, part of that resulting from Connor and his trio's big fight that just broke out on the Storm Edge, and now finally the Surge ends there. It's Instinct who ends up cutting it off. We saw a little bit of him, too. He was down a member just a bit ago. Here's Jaw Crispy and company. Mills Smarty. 1 step closer to that Sweaty, but the zone's going to pull south now. This is the 3rd zone here. 2 airdrops just nearby. Will they play for them? They can use some of the loot. I don't see extra shields here in Smarty's inventory, so could be worth it.
Always be risky to put down even more mats, even if you're just trying to get that airdrop. It only, I believe, gives you 60 more. So whoever wants to go for it will have to invest a lot in the tarp for now. I feel like if that zone closes, then it's a dope option. Still, everyone playing off that box-to-box type of game style. As soon as Surge starts to hit in a few more zones, maybe we see some fights here and there. But look at the loadout right now, Monster, for 7. 1 entire slot open. And the Chuck Splashes and that Slurpfish are good, but I'm not seeing minis. I'm not seeing that much versatility here.
Yeah, it could be very much split out, though, with a team that's at 200 HP effective each. I have to assume they're doing pretty decent But material count, halfway or so. So he has invested a lot already in this game. Soy Domo rotating out wide. I'm not too sure while he's building out right now. There must be a pocket of something back there they're trying to play for. And this is a team that's in shambles below them, right? Nerds, Davo, and Soy, they just don't have a lot. But okay, zone's going to pull far. It's going to be northeast now. This is game 2, guys. This is a very, very much important game, especially for any teams that have done good, like Harsh, Control, and Harmony here. This is where they can set up a big step in front of the competition and hold it.
If they can set up a big step, they've already got their socks and steel-toed boots on with those 2 Rift Fish in the inventory. Ammo also looking good. They have 3 elims in total, meaning they've taken out an entire squad, probably have 2 POIs worth of loot. Their base is amazing. You can even foot rotate this if they play it right, but honestly, be less greedy. Confirm that top 10. Confirm the rotation.
Long rotate though for Harsh, Control, and Harmony. They have to go all the way in. You can see how important it is to have the material to do it as well. They're gonna make a quick pit stop here, take what they can, have as much as they can, and then get the move on. Duke, River, GW on the fight right now. Duke trying to hold this wall here. 400 medium ammunition. My gosh, what a loot route they must have had. Wherever they're landing, it's enough for 2, that's for sure.
Wait, enough for 2, but no. Trouble in paradise for Kip. High Flex and Zeus. As I think it was a gas can, actually ends up blowing up, taking their builds down, taking 2 out, and now Zeus is left alone, burning in his own box. Now 10 HP, now none. That trio is the first one to get wiped in the mid game.
That was crazy. We don't even get to see tracers, but you saw the tracers on every single line of fire. Like, just white smoke lines coming in from the gun barrels. And there it is. Those bullet tracers there. Here, though, River, GW, and Duke putting some more pressure in. Another lobby focus coming in. This is onto IWU. They're on the backup.
Not again. Not again. Not again for Instinct either. He was the first person to go down in game number 1, leaving Kmart and Mogul the clutch last time. Mogul's investments. Looks like the stock market crashed for their trio. Now, once again, those prices are going low. Not what you want to see. But they got zone. They do have a little bit of time. Economy booms, but man, with a teammate down, with all those mats harpooned by Duke as well, that's just shambles.
Yeah, this is big for Ashland University here. They will be able to pull in some extra goodies, set them up nice and pretty here to buy themselves a few more zones. But like you said, the shockwaves are even better for the squad here now. We're to go fish 2. So they have a couple of free zones in front of them. They're just barely above the Storm Surge threshold, though. That's probably what's most alarming about this entire situation here, is that they probably need to get a little more active here once again, just in case. FGCU's copy, though, on the way here. With Floyd and Schnoz, they do make it to the new zone, up for this mid-ground layer they're playing for. I don't know who has height, but it seems like they've managed to get up for free. So whoever is holding height is distracted or being passive. Rhino, on the other hand, has to heal all the way up. Wood walls will protect them from Mako and Speedy, though. They do have to be careful here. Remember, last we checked in, they were way down on the standings, and no, Will Go, King, and the last of the trio there get completely wiped up and taken out of the lobby by Mako, Jelly, and Speedy.
You're asking who was on height, Monster. It is the champions. The last championship, Steve, Cinnamon, and Fuzzy all the way up top. Is this how they do it? Getting that top 5 consistent type of placement in game 1, finding the mistakes, and then just taking the tournament by storm. Game 2 onwards, we'll only have to watch and see. It is very difficult in the grand final stage to have height in this 5th zone and then hold it all the way to 9th.
Especially with shockwaves in the game, especially now with Rift to goes in the game to even counter that play, counter all players on high ground. Steve McSweat, Cinnamon Pancakes, and Fuzzy were all in that top 4, though. They were very much comfortable there. I believe 27 points coming in, so already you can see how much placement points in these elims are attributing to allowing them to close that gap up to first place. who at first, at that instance, had about 40 or so. So still, a pop-off, an absolute pop-off game is still needed here for any team if they want to catch up to first, especially if first makes it through to top 5 again.
I think first was 48 the last time we tuned in with them, so definitely have a whole leg up on everyone else. 37-36 was second and third afterwards. Now we'll see what ends up happening next. Here we go. Rifts in the sky. That is an entire separate Fortnite lobby.
Oh my God.
Flying in the air. Oh my goodness.
This team needs it. They need tags. They're 14 below right now. Here's a squad that barely is above the surge as well. Remember, 30 players is going to be needed to get taken out. We're going to have to thin this lobby down by a fair margin. About 40% or so of the players have to get taken out here. 18 seconds remain before that pops off, and I mean, it doesn't matter if you're still floating. Surge will still get you. 52 damage above now for Harmony Harsher Control. Steve McSweat do manage to find a little bit more tags here, and it's Fuzzy though. Fuzzy consistently finding Elam after Elam. He's at 3 now, but they're on shaky grounds here. They're not safe just yet.
They're trying. This is Kirtland Community College up top, and there's a big shot on the Tigers who gets wiped out and cleaned up.
Tigers there thought he was going to do something big there. It wasn't enough. That was FIU Panthers there coming up for that high ground. Mistakes were made. Steve McSweat denies all of that here. Now it's their high ground to hold. Honestly, here comes the pressure. Should be a textbook closeout here. Now that refresher was massive, by the way. Shyo 5-5-3 now for material. He can split with his entire team. Medium ammo galore as well. Big heals for the Stormline later. Fuzzy still turning online here. This is perfect for the trio up above.
It's like a loot Pippo just ended up falling in his box. That was 300 AR that he split. That AR, we know, is so crucial for suppressing all these other teams on that mid and low ground. But remember, in game 1, Height ended up not winning. You still have to drop down at the end, make sure you're healthy, and land your shots. Right now, everything Kirtland has to do is just get some type of elims, get some pressure. Mars' trio gets to just slide by, barely without getting noticed. Harmony on the back wall gets taken out. So your first place game 1 trio is gone. This is Steve, Cinnamon, and Fuzzy from Kirtland Community College. Their time to take away the lead in this tournament.
What lies ahead is that Fall 20 championship. Can they step one major step closer? We asked for a big game. We asked for a pop-off. We knew what it would take to close the gap up to the first place, and they're doing just that. So far, so good. On the low ground, though, Connor, Engage, Exceed, still alive here, trying to operate, actually, just as a two-man team. Another big squad in the game, though, is B-Hegs, 7, and Mars as well, operating all in the mix there, too. A lot of squads we're excited for to see are still here, still putting in work right now. Connor finds a knock. Chris Dots finds 2 as well. Make it 3 here as he concludes onto Kinster as well. And they're turning up in the low ground. Those are points being missed out on from the high ground team. But hey, they're doing all the hard work for them down there.
Yeah, this looks like a guaranteed second place for sure for the Kirtland squad. All the way up top, Fishflix gets wiped out at the low ground. Floyd is popping off. AJ as well, back-to-back eliminations. Now we have 7 down here, BX with Mars. We have Maryland holding down the ultimate supreme low ground. They're now finally edging out, just peeking their heads to get back up into boxes. They now have another section of the entire zone to claim. That is boxes everywhere. They're old builds that can possibly edit through as well. 4 different trios left here, Monster.
Kirkland Community College, University of Maryland, all still up in this game right now. Let's see how it's going to play out here. 5 eliminations for Kirkland's Community College team right now. Up above, hold up though. B-Hegs and Mars are getting down and dirty here. Make it 6 now for the low ground team of Kirkland. Hold up. It's still going down. Maryland University looking to pop off and show off here. They're staying with one another. They don't have a lot of HP though. They're going to go down one by one. And no, they all do fall. And up on top, it's Kirkland Community College's Cinnamon Pancakes going for the heel off. 8 eliminations for the high ground team. That was a close one, but no cigar. The health lead just wasn't there.
It looks like Kirtland has a supremely prestigious health program, health education program there on the high ground, using those medkits, being in position, holding out with a very consistent type of game. Didn't have too many eliminations though.
These teams who are staying on high ground, you know, It depends on how much ammo they really have, and we saw that throughout that game they had a ton of SMG ammo to spray down, which is great, but it's not as good for picking up those eliminations when you're on height. That's a much better in-box weapon, and the AR ammo, they kind of used a ton in that 4th, 5th, and 6th zone to kind of make sure they had enough, and towards the end they were kind of running out, so not able to pick up as many eliminations.
And not only that, Reese, they were going back and forth on these old layers, right? Let's talk about how all those old mats in between, all those layers play a factor in those endgames.
Well, what happens basically is the zone, rather than continuing to pull the same direction, when it turns back, when you're on height, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. It's such a good feeling because you don't have to reuse your materials at all. You can just run straight back over the old ones that are there. Even on low ground, if you have a large tunnel and it goes back through it, you can consistently use those to save those materials.
Yeah, and you know, with the mats, with all the elims we missed on low ground as well, I want to see exactly how those leaderboards look. Was the height enough? Was the win enough to push these guys into first? It actually was. 71 total points. Chario, Chris, and AJ, though, we saw AJ pop off. Monster, they hold second place.
Yeah, Chris Dots lit up the feed there. He caught a nice little 3-chain elimination up towards the end there, so it was enough to also propel them on up here. Average placement now 4th there for them too. Control, Harsh, and Harmony are going to slide their way down to 3rd, but again, a big team that pops up here too now. Mars, 7, and BHAGs, great performance for them. Obviously, they slide their way all the way through to that 2nd place slot there. University of Maryland showing up big, but it was the fact that they didn't have enough heals to sustain there that dropped them out of the comp there, Reese.
Yeah, and this kind of top of the leaderboard starting to look familiar, isn't it? These are all teams who we've seen through other seasons and also throughout the regular seasons as well. And, you know, Fuzzy right now is playing the game of his life. He's currently in first place, obviously, but also not just first place on the leaderboards. He has the most time alive and the most eliminations out of everyone, completely holstering this weekend.
Yeah, and past that too, we're looking at the other side of the board. Whether it's still eliminations and placement, you know, viable for it. Top 10 is what a lot of these teams want to be able to hit. Tigers is very close to it. We see Connor with these spawn fights as well, teetering off if one goes wrong, dropping into that just $1,000 prize pool range for those scholarship funds. You know, there's a lot of good teams here too. Monster, we saw Tax, Phantom, and Thanks always having this big height zone advantage, but they never seem to make that end game.
Yeah, they didn't, but and Mike, Carpsy, and DJ as well, right? They actually had high ground and threw around the way, but not only that, they had a really rough second game because they fall a tremendous amount of slots, about 10 or so now, and that puts them on the second page there. So a great game 1, a bad game 2. How does that affect their mental is going to be the big question. I saw Arrow, Dylan, they're now slide their way up to second place. Obviously, we'll go Rhino and King as we're trying to give them some support here, right? Some verbal support. They get wiped out of the competition there towards those final moments. So even towards the back, it's still a battle to climb on up.
Yeah,
and how
absolutely.
How they've dropped down so far, it's actually all Storm Surge. First 2 games, both down to Storm Surge so far for Wilgo's trio. So hopefully next 2 games are going to figure that out because they had really good positioning, but just didn't manage to get those tags.
Okay, so we got Storm Surge exhaustion, some crazy spawn fights to watch 24/7, and a trio that can never give up height no matter what game it is. We need to take a step back, take a little bit of a break, and then come through with this again with some fresh minds. Stay tuned, don't go anywhere because there's more action coming up right soon.
Welcome to the 0 Point. This center map desert location is the new central point for the lore of Fortnite. Not only that, it houses the new crystals that allow you to teleport. Now, under the effect of the crystal, you can actually dash in any direction. This allows you to exploit inside of boxes, take fights confidently, or even go for high ground if you look straight up in the air. With this being the latest addition to the Fortnite world, another mobility item enters the fray.
There's always a spark, a flicker, a brief disruptive force, an incitement to action, a moment where you say, I will not be pushed, and you find your reason to push back. What ignites you? Is it the moment, the teammates you shared with, or how you know that your path is no longer the same? What ignites you? When potential becomes talent, or when bonds prove stronger than adversity? Whatever ignites you, that's where PlayVS will be, a stage for you to shine. And it all begins with a spark.
A new POI has emerged out of the 0 point, and that is Hunter's Haven. It's located to the south side of the map on the hills where the Sentinel's graveyard used to be. This location also has a ton of IO soldiers that spawn around it. Difficult to eliminate because they have so much effective HP. However, you're guaranteed to get a rare tactical assault rifle from eliminating them, which is huge for ammo management. Since there's so many hills surrounding it, fighting in this area is really difficult because teams are always on these high points in the hills, shooting down at players who are down below. And speaking of hills, this is probably one of the best spots for Storm Surge in the game. It's a center map position, it already has hills surrounding it so that you can end up ticking tags on players who are rotating all the way through. And this was true in previous seasons even when there wasn't a POI here, so this spot is gonna be hot. Like many of the new spots on the map, there's an underground bunker that has more loot and some indestructible walls here too. Who knows what this will play in the future, but I certainly wouldn't want to be stuck down here when the zone starts to pull in.
In Season 5, a new terrain is added to the game in the name of sand. Spread throughout the entire middle of the map, there's a lot more that meets the eye to this thing that's in addition to the new POIs. For starters, if you drop down into the sand by standing still for a few seconds, you can start to move fast, somewhat unnoticeable, all around the sand as long as you don't crash into any other type of terrain. Past that too, you can wait in hiding, barely noticeable for people around in the sand. It's very hard and a sneaky tactic. Here it is in use. If you see someone who's far away, you would usually not be able to sneak up on them without building or being noticed. You can quickly catch up with sand, hit the drop, and throughout the entire main center portion of the map, you'll definitely see people utilizing this to be able to rotate fast, unseen, and possibly start some very crazy fights. Tilted Towers is back, but with an extra pinch of salt on the side. That's right, one of the new POIs that we have on the center portion of the map is a combination of both classic Fortnite action POIs, that is Salty Towers, including a reboot van and all the classic buildings you love.
Welcome back to the Play versus Fall 20 College Championship, the home of Scholastic Esports here for the Fortnite community. It's your boys, MonsterDface, ShyoWager, and Reisshub. We just watched the conclusion of game number 2. We got to break it down here at the desk. That was our first taste of what a heal-off could, end off as. So things got pretty crazy. We're getting a little bit of everything here. There's a lot on the line here, though, Shyo, right? The stakes are pretty high for the players.
You can feel it, right? Like we're getting spawn fights that are just taking like 5 minutes, not only at Dirty Docks where the top 2 teams from yesterday are playing, but just around the map. The lobby focus just feels like every trio that gets focused has no chance. And in endgame, it's getting that much more chaotic, Reese.
And, some of the things you picked up on, the fights are taking a long time, which means that these teams are of high level. They're taking their time to fight because they don't want to make that critical mistake that will ruin their own games to them. And then, when you're saying that teams don't have a chance when they get focused, it's kind of true because these teams are doing a really good job of ammo management. They're taking those kind of SMGs, they're taking their tactical assault rifles, using those mini ammo so that they can spread it equally across the team. Really great play to them, and that's kind of why we're seeing so many great eliminations and really good fighting skills going out.
And I mean, it still brings us back to this question, like, does Connor, Exceed, and Gage have to reevaluate their gameplay, their strategy? Because when they came in, they hit a stroke of luck to find a fight and walk away victorious. Ultimately, though, the next game is underway. We'll get to watch this unfold. We'll get to dig a little deeper into their minds as we watch them all play it out, of course. But I think that's the big question here. Who has had enough time to reevaluate their game plan, come up with a better strategy? Because now, Shyo, with game number 3 in front of us, this is what I like to call the pivotal halfway point. It's the most important part of the Fortnite world and the Fortnite game story now.
Yeah, for half these players, you have to drop your ego. For the other half, it's time to get an ego. It's all about adjustments. And right now, all about one of our top trios we're watching, Mars, BHEGS, and Seven, all the way from the University of Maryland. We'll see exactly where they're dropping down. Looks like it's Misty Meadows, where there's a lot of fish, a lot of mats, and some other top trios nearby.
Yeah, it's either that or Camp Cod. We'll find out here shortly. And no, judging by BHEGS' very low drop, they have an unlimited amount of opportunity here to get a ton of loot. The island being available, the bottom portions as well. Seven looks like he plays for the mountaintop. So this is a drop spot that can house, I mean, we've seen upwards of 3 trios on trios land here, right? So this is a really big drop spot here.
Yeah, I think the big thing too about the drop when you have it uncontested, when it's not 3 trios grabbing all the loot, is the speed at which you have to loot it. I know we have NPCs and they help with Surge, but positioning is also a big thing that when you're at these southern POIs, you can actually lose out on. So I want to see exactly how fast these guys loot, what their split looks like right now. We see Mars on the left side of Misty, 1 person on the right, and then we have, I believe, 7 somewhere on those islands or on that major hill dropping it down. You're talking about 4 trios at a spot though. Look at Retail Row, Monster.
Yeah, this is not a drop spot big enough for 3 trios. It can house 2 and get comfortable, but 3 just gets sloppy. And oh, talk about sloppy fights. That's an axe off for Sergeant Sash. Hey, he hits 3 white swings on the pickaxe. I'm sure he was feeling it for a second there. I'd say he was hopeful. He was hopeful.
Hopeful, but if you got rule number 6 of Fortnite, don't bring a pickaxe to attack fight 100%.
Oh, is that number 6 now? Okay.
That's number 6 now. Yeah, you kind of dropped down a few tiers.
Here it is, though. Cut now, left to fend off by himself. I don't even know if he's going to be able to swing back around and get his teammates reboot cards. Is it even worth it when you have 30 points? This, I guess, late into the competition, right? We're pretty substantial ways into this whole thing. Do you risk it to get your teammates, or do you just go for any cheeky points possible as a solo? I mean, I'll leave the question to you, Shyo. What do you think?
I think you're gonna have to wrap back at some point, but if Burrito Green and Noms are playing like this, if it's a little bit different in the way that, you know, there's guys hunting you down, you gotta just run away, try your best luck at solos, find a river somewhere and try to get some rift fish, because other than that, it looks like your competition is absolutely hopeless.
That's a good point. There is definitely an opportunity to possibly, in some crazy world, find a rift fish and just get right back to his teammate's card. We'll see what happens from there. It doesn't look likely. Currently in 5th place, though, Rivers AU trio has scored at least 10 points in every game this weekend. That's a massive statement to be made right there. Every single time you load in, you're getting a fair amount of points. If they can do that here today, I mean, they're consistently... That'll be enough consistency to at least put them up towards top 10 or so, I can imagine. On the other side, though, Homicidal's in a fight right now. 2 players are down. Thirst comes in. Siphon's on this side. It's Salty Towers. Salt is given. Anthems is the one that finds a knock there. Wills caught 2 of those, though, and now it's a full trio right for this team.
Oh, see, I think you mentioned Kinster going down somewhere in the 7th zone in the last game. Also very curious for Cut. I think we've seen Cut. We just watched him in Retail Row. Up on, you know, Rift Fish dropping down from the skies game after game. 28 points, 30 points for these trios. Still seems like they're having some trouble getting out of these games. It's not like, you know, formulaic. You're in and out. So right now, Noms is pushing for another fight again. Siphon, it's the reverse now. He's last left alive. In game number 2, we saw that he got taken down first. He's taxiing way away. Not worried about the fares, not worried about anything else, but this is looking worrying for him. Doesn't have one of his teammates' cards. He's crashing in a cut as well, possibly a 1v1 there. Meanwhile, again, Noms is still fighting, and it's Titan, T-Flick, and Cascat who've moved off of Dirty Dogs fast and are here for the fight from Retail.
Yeah, this is a much different draw spot. Seems like they might have been playing for the Lake House front or just not taking the fight in their early instances. Either way, it's a better game plan now because they can fight on their own terms. They can fight on their own terms. They walk into this fight nice and late. You already saw Siphon on the run here. Burrito's down on the low ground. This is the trio that was rotating out, chasing that solo out of Retail Row. And now you see what happens when teams do something that's off the game plan, right? You change up the strategy and you're not quite prepared for those other trios on the rotate. All of a sudden now, collision here on the bridge.
And right now, if these guys get out unscathed from this collision, it'll be so good for them compared to all their other games. But at the same time, trouble for everyone else on the server. It looks like Connor might just have an uncontested POI with his trio at 9th place. Meanwhile, Titan, People, and Ascat starting off their game with possibly 3 elims. The first knock comes on a Burrito. After that, there's the full team wipe. Green goes down. After that as well, Noms is taken out. Looks like these guys found their new home at Retail Row.
Quite possibly, and it works out to be in their favor. 3 eliminations now for them. That's a lot more points this time around than they've gotten in any other game mode, at least off the bat here in this windowed time frame. Game 3 setting up to be a great one. There's a solo on the bridge up above. That's the guy probably going back. Yes, it is. It's Siphon. He's coming right back around, trying to gauge the situation right now to see what's up. But no, the double fire comes in. The vehicle blows up. He takes damage from it, and the builds are on fire. It's not looking good for them. We're going to hop over really quickly, though, with Exceed and company here. And it seems like they're just big vibing here. They have the entire Dirty Docks themselves. All that fighting pays off here now as your top 10 team allows them to sit here and control the entire drop spot. But not only that, Shyo, they bully the other squad out.
That is going to be huge. My question is, like, how long will this actually last for? You know, like, is this just one game where Titan might be moving over to retail? Is the confidence in winning that fight versus Noms enough to keep them at retail, right? This is a big game for Exceed, Gage, and Connor. If they do really well here, they can jump from 9th somewhere near that top 5 and then possibly steal the tournament away.
There's a nice look at the map shot. Another fight going down in Salty Towers. So that's obviously a hot spot for a rotate through. We're going to hop over to Lazy Lake. That is also housing a fair amount of trios just here. Siphon manages to survive the runaway from Cascad and company. So he's on the move on out. What can he do, though? He doesn't have anyone's cards. He's by himself. There's another team struggling, trying to mix up their strategy here, too. It's Arrow. Derpy's down, though. It's up to Arrow and Dylan here. Angles are good, though. They seem to have been able to swing this fight back in their favor. Let's see how it's going to work out.
Dylan's trying from head on, but not going to actually do any work. After that, the shockwave comes in, but he only gets one tag of blue HP, 33 to be exact. That's not enough to scare away his opponent. There's the drop down. There's the tack shot. This is a 3v2. Might just be a wrap up. Dylan moves all the way up, has a few splashes to crash in to get that shield up, but it's not going to be enough. Arrow takes a huge shot over to the back. This fight is just devolving into madness, and I can't even see who they're fighting. They're moving around so ghastly and ghostly. There it is. Will CBA gets to pick up both eliminations. Kinster and Anthem still have this aggressive play online in almost the second zone of the game.
Yeah, we talked about this fight going on here at Salty Towers, and it looks like they wipe up another full trio now. Kinster and Anthems also survived this one this time around. No one being knocked early. And just like that, 6 eliminations and a full refresher of material and ammunition to go with it. That was a team that was absolutely stacked. Django and Walla realized, okay, maybe this is not the fight for us. Let's get a move on here. I thought for a second there they had a man down, but no, they're just super widely spread out here. So they have to get with one another and rotate on out.
Imagine just walking close to Salty Towers and seeing every single building have like a build fight on it. Well, it's just like, nope, I'm turning straight around.
Yep, that's what it looked like for a second there. And remember, that building's already tall as it is, so for a fight to break out just on side of it, there you have it. It's pretty massive. It's an eyesore. Django, though, doesn't need any of this loot. These guys are actually pretty comfortable this time here. We haven't seen what their early game rotations look like, but this zone is favoring Northeast. Once again, everyone has to push very far and out. They're going with a wide rotate, trying to keep a low profile down the sideline. You can see Wills, Kinster, and the rest of the team there, Anthem, just nearby, still finishing up the looting from that previous fight they just wrapped up. But it was quick enough. Everyone has so much time here to work with now.
I think CKM, Walla, and Django must be coming from Slurpy Swamp. There's a lot of shields here, which means they might have found a lot of chests at the same time, possibly pop those chug canisters, because they're almost close to max mats as well, have that metal, and then can save their shields to use in their inventories. Meanwhile, from Dirty, we have Exceed, Gage, and Connor on that taxi rotate.
Here it is. They're moving on out, using a vehicle to cut across. Thought they were going to look for the switch there for a second. Maybe go with the off-road vehicle. Might have been a better play, but doesn't matter. They're big vibing here. They're going to get up and over this mountain. This gives them a lot of lines of sights on the rest of the field as well. Possibly even some access to some loot here. Yes, this is unlooted. This is a nice and rare find for them. It might be a part of their loot path for all we know, right? They've consistently gone upwards time and time again, so this could just be a ways they've been working it in, weaving it into their rotate.
Yeah, sometimes it's difficult to find all that brick or just top off everything, so you might be correct. Gage also holding that gas can. Seems like they've done this many times before and just keep going on this car rotate.
Yeah, that gas canister actually spawns inside that shack, so you saw him pick it right up, put it straight to use. No time to waste there. It's always one of the more fun parts of Fortnite, figuring out routes, good routes, right? Routes that have a lot of thought put into them. Here's a player that is 100 damage below the threshold here. 1 minute and 45 seconds. You just can't avoid it. He's going to have to fight now. He might have hit his way here up until now, but 8 players have to go down. He's probably going to have to get active.
Now the remnants of Retail Row. His team dying down at the bridge. Now it's just all up to cut. And there's one more solo just roaming around the map in a taxi. Not sure where he ended up, but once again, travesty for DMA and Sage. Dipped down once more. They saw one end game in game number 1, and now in game number 3, again they're in a fight, stuck on low ground, one teammate down.
They get picked up though, so Div's back in it. I mean, 30 HP. He's gonna be able to get a mini off, but they have the firing range coming in. A shot's gonna pierce through as well. It's gonna be a big tag onto Sage. Here's High Flex on Haven, who's looking into this battle that's breaking out between Kygers, Husan, and Andy Cuz. You can see they have the prime angle to look into the battle, possibly steal away some eliminations here, or reforce the engagement between the two. 2 Rift to Go fishes in his inventory. That's a stack loadout if we've seen one so far today, or chunk splashes as well. Just a very perfectly balanced loadout to have coming into this mid game.
And this is a very strange one with the gold pistol and just a 50 pot, but we saw how rough it can get for Kygers and the cousin Hussant. Very different type of game here, and right now they're always fighting. There's a big shot from Kygers. This gets broken down. The pickaxe though this time he gets double teamed. Sage has the next shot. Hussant goes down and because wiped again. My goodness, that was a blink if you missed it fight. It's over.
Attacks wrapped up in a bow and packaged for Christmas there. You saw it all unfold. You open up the edit. If you don't, if it's not your wall and you can't back up fast enough, it's over just like that. One cone goes into the box, and that's it. No defense, nothing to hide behind. Let's see if it's the same fate here for AJX, Chris Dots, and Shario here, who are up above, getting pressured by compact SMGs, looking for any tags on teams below. They needed it. Now they're just above the surge. They're actually fighting it out at the stronghold, and there's so many teams up here. We talked about this. It should have been a dead side rotate, but no, instead, too many teams lingering around their draw spots, force for more engagement between the two. Mike finds an elimination inside the feed, or Gage onto Mike, and that's huge for them. Titan finds Jake there too. Flick finds the full finish onto Jake there. So it's back and forth. Those are big teams fighting in the feed.
Man, you put enough, enough trios on the dead side, it suddenly becomes alive. And then all those people we were talking about, the Slurpee Swamp trio that we saw over at Salty Towers, they're now going to be at what would be the full side of zone, kind of on their lonesome. Past that too, we're talking about Surge. You said 12, they're above. For me, you're not above Surge in this meta if you have at least 300 damage, I would say. You need to get your digits up there. You need to get those damage numbers up in the hundreds, because suddenly, if you just look away for a few seconds and everyone else starts to fight, you can go way below and be irredeemable in the game.
There you see Wills get dropped to Phantom for that long-range fire shot there. He walks away with a free elim just from getting active on the side now. How many players are knocked here still, or starting to house up? It looks like most of the players have already made their way in. And this is just fighting within the storm safety. Not something you see very often. This is usually where players become more passive. You don't want to start burning through your bullets too soon now, unless you absolutely need those tags there. And we know, Shyo, everyone ends up needing the tags, right? Surge is going to happen almost inevitably every single time it can.
You don't want to be late to that party. You don't want to be late to trying to accrue that Surge. Take the shots now, don't pay later.
Here we have it. The calm before the storm now. Mid-game is starting to approach here shortly. Davo left alive by himself on the edge of the storm line. No one's figured it out yet. Steve McSweat, Cinnamon, and Fuzzy house themselves in a center. Not a great location. They don't have a mountain by any means to play off of, but They're very much still deep into the zone, which is great for catching that 4th zone favor.
What do you think, Monster? A height team again holding from 5th zone, winning the game?
No, every high team we've seen try it ends up either losing it or getting dropped before it gets too late. That's been the story so far.
Then. Same pattern this game?
Quite honestly, possibly. I mean, even teams like the best that do it, Zayt, Saf, and Stretch, are never 100% successful with holding their heights, right? They always end up, and they do it every time from zone 5, 6, whatever. They try to get up nice and early. How many times do they walk away with the victory out when they do it? Not every time, I'll tell you that. More often than not, they get taken out. But when they do it, and they do it right, they walk away with a lot of eliminations. So they end up closing the gaps.
That's one difference we've seen today, though, too. Even if it does end up working out, these height teams don't end up actually getting too many elims. I mean, we've seen Duke be there sometimes with the 8, River and Scrub being there with the donuts, but still, you know, providing all the support that Duke needs. Right now, though, these guys don't have much to say from mid-game elims. Their loadout looks very good. AR, though, ammo running out for Duke specifically. Control Harmony, Harsh here as well. Harsh taking all that damage off of the beams, I think, from Duke. Fortunately, he has those shields to pop over. 50 pop from Control will be able to get thrown his way as well. Now everyone has to move into the zone, Monster.
Definitely. Floyd's going to find himself a nice knock there on the rotate on through. 24 teams are up now. That's going to break its way into another placement threshold here. I believe the next cutoff is going to come in at 21. So still, this is where the big points start to hop in. It's that mid to end game action. 40 seconds remain until the zone closes, and everyone has to fight for the surge. 12 players are going to have to go down here. They're just 47 damage above here, Shyo.
Yeah, this is looking pretty bad. Red doesn't have that much HP either. Looks like they're stuck at 50 shield to pop as well. I can smell shambles when I see like 1 shockwave and 1 mini. That just means someone kind of split all the utility you have to make sure you don't have any empty slots. 64 below now, 40. This thing is like, it's jumping back and forth like wavelengths of a song right now, and it doesn't look like Trigger likes the tune that it's going so far. He's trying to beam long range with a compact SMG. This is just desperation.
Sometimes enough's to force the fight. The Rift to Go Fish is going to come out, though, because they're below the surge. They've decided they want to jump on someone. This is the team they want. It's Connor's team. In the box he goes. And Connor gets eaten alive with attack here right into the box. Out comes the P90, goes Burr, and it's it. It's it, right? They just wrapped him up. How many was that? A quick 2 eliminations there. The laugh. Oh, no.
I'm kind of laughing, too, but I'm not sure where the source of it is coming from. Is it just because of the desperation these guys had? I'm not even gonna call it a grief play. I mean, it kind of was, but what else do you have to do, right? I mean,
listen,
that was a heist mission.
Shyo, they went the wrong way too. Like, I don't know if it was the right play or not, but hey, they're alive. They found some points for it, and they got a whole lot of loot for it. That was a beautiful dive there, regardless of whether or not they chose the right direction to the new storm line. In comes the Shockwaves. You can see they are the team on the river bend right now. Shockwave from across. They make it across safely. They had multiple Shockwaves to be A-okay. That was, I mean, a play that was risky, but it pays off here. Back with Mr. Stinky, Doinks, and Berkey here. They're big vibing. 6 eliminations so far. A refresher down on the low ground. It's another team that probably took a risk, and it seems like it's paying off for these squads.
But also another team in a very unorthodox spot. We saw over the last 2 days, these guys just basically being a height team. A team on the 5th zone that operates very well when they have a high up base. Seeing these guys low ground, I'm not sure if they know how to actually pilot this game down here. It's very different, Monster. We've seen the different things that can happen when everything starts to get chaotic on the low.
Definitely. Here's a bit of a shake-up, though, now. Change up the narrative. We're going to step up in elevation a bit. BFT's king, Jomo and Circus here. Vibing out right now. Bit of a mid-ground hold. The zone's going to pull right back to that river's edge. Remember, they are just outside this Pleasant Park, so there is no longer a Stark Industry cliff waiting on the other side. The zones are very much just vanilla, right? Nice, smooth hills, nothing too crazy.
though, we've seen mid-ground be that operating place to be, to have the least risk. We just saw, though, BFT King, some information on them. St. Clair College is where that trio's playing from. Overall, they're looking pretty good in terms of how they're going to be playing out this game, though. We're watching Wogo looking so good in the heats for now, though. On one of those 20th place slots with just 15 points, this rotation has to be clean. This game has to have something happen. Looks like it was a bot shockwave, and now all players are split.
Yeah, and it was only him who didn't get taken, so the rest of his squad's gone, and for some reason he was left behind. He's on a box with enemy, though. Shotguns come out. Who's going to be able to win the exchange here? It was only a 25 tag for both sides, even, but it's going to be a matter of who has more HP, and it looks like Thirst falls to Wilgo here. Wilgo comes out on top. The beautiful bouncer on off now. He should have enough time to get to his squad mates. The question is, where are they? And yes, he's on the right layer. Back like he never left. Takes over the tarp here, leading out his teams. Chug splashes to bring them back if he wants to now as well. So that's a great second elimination. Remember, they were on the last page. They've been so far behind the competition for the good chunk of the day. And talk about the time to change your narrative is now, coming into game 3. After this, we're past the halfway mark. They're doing just that.
Doing it really well, too. Harsh and Control, though, getting Elim still in this game. We saw Dip almost down before, out for the count, but they got that revive, won the fight over at Salty Towers. Now back in the game on height with Sage and DMA La. Control still getting huge eliminations. DMA and Dip are just making big progress. Titan goes down in the feed to Rhino. So one big team losing one of their big members as well. That trio's not out of the competition yet. 29 players left. The live surge will not be an issue, but the zone, look at the angle these guys have, Monster. It is just surgical right now. The AR beams, the angles they have, they can do a lot of damage.
Definitely, and the wide shot tells another story down below. Everyone's mashed up like sardines in the mid ground there. The pack heavy on top of one another. On high ground, though, you can see Dip looking down that big pressure here, trying to see if they can find opportunities. And there's nothing there, nothing available right now. The feed unfolding, player after player. King falls down there. That's one of Wilgo's trios there. Fuzzy still in the running right now. That's a first place team in another top 8 now situation, top 7. Steve finds another Elim there too. That's a knock. Steve gets knocked by Mars, though. Cinnamon gets knocked too. Beggs goes down as well. Fuzzy gets wiped out. Okay, they get wiped, but still a 7th place finish for them. That is absolutely massive, coupled with a few eliminations. First place squad. Is it enough to maintain it, though?
That'll be the big question right now. Jelly also has a full trio. There's 2 kind of operating on this low ground, but space is running out. The pocket RPG 2 Monster just 1 rocket.
Hey, they're looking to send one of their players into the box, and or they can catch someone. Yes, right there. They caught someone. Down comes Thanks. He seemed to have been ready, though. He was ready. He hit some shots. Just like that, he actually finds 2 eliminations, even with the surprise rocket launcher coming in.
That's on Harmony and Control. That trio now wiped out. Thanks goes right back up and drops a whole trio down to mid. Just 1 person left up top for that insurance. Tax goes down, though. It's all up to Thanks with 6 mats to fight off Dip if possible. He's looking for the aerial shot.
He does. He got it.
High. He gets dropped down low, and now Thanks has height.
He can still do this. DMA Laws shoots him down and into the attack. He goes, no, it's not enough. The shotgun shots were not good, but still, 8 eliminations, 3rd place there for him. And now we're looking at a 2v3 situation here. DMA and Sage versus the team on the low ground. It's Mackie and Jelly. Oh my gosh, DMA hits a huge tactical shot, and he's in the safety of the zone. He has the siphon to play off. The lead is his. The edit comes down. It's good, and it's enough. He wins.
He wins. Sage had the beams off from the side, and DMA had the edit of an entire moment in Nation, the double edit to land the double tack shot, winning them game number 3. I mean, man, this is just getting more and more intense every single game. You cannot call it every time you see it. That was the most intense game I think we've seen so far.
Reese, I have a question. 15 eliminations, is that the record now, or did I do math wrong at the end there?
We've had a 16 yesterday, so it was close. However, I mean, we could say it's a record for the finals, so we'll take it from that one. But if you notice, DMA had 10 eliminations. That last tactical shot that he shot actually picked up an entire trio. He had 7, shot 1 bullet, picked up an entire trio elimination with it after that. So incredible performances coming out of them.
The full conclusion there. I mean, you saw the TAC AR shots connecting there, Shyo. You was excited for that weapon to make its return. Are those the kind of highlights you were hoping to cast over this weekend?
Yes, because when there's multiple people and you have a TAC shotgun, you can end up hitting a lot of them. With the pump or the charge, you only have a chance to shoot once. I mean, we just saw DMA let loose at the end right there, but let's check a tick out on the leaderboards to see exactly where these guys end up near the top. No one actually ends up dethroning Fuzzy McWhiskers, Cinnamon Pancakes, and Steve McSweat.
And Fuzzy, Cinnamon, and Steve have been performing so good today. This is their third time in the top 10, so extremely good performance. And you can see their average placement, 4.3. Really good. And DMA, after that huge performance, that was actually a 52-point game. A 52-point game. And that is their first over 50-point game in the entire season. So that is actually their best game out of all 2 weeks of the preseason, 8 weeks of the regular season, the heats yesterday and today.
Well, if there's a time to hit it, it's now on the grand final stage, I'll tell you that. And that was the halfway mark right there, as we're going to be leading into game 4 soon. But my gosh, way to really jump up and break that 80-point threshold. Now you have to assume that they're on their way, and that's a team that is going to be playing off that momentum here. Here's another squad that has to figure things out. Connor, Exceed, Engage fall down from their 9th place spot. They trickle down 3 slots, and now competition's that much closer on the second page here as Mills, Jaw Crispy, and Smarty take their spot.
And past that too, we're just looking at, top 10 being the place to actually hit. Schnoz there going down as the last member of the squad in that game. We saw Cut trying to play solo after what happened off spawn. T-Flick, Cascade, and Titan, they're having a little bit of trouble, deciphering where their spot is, but also making it to endgame. Hopefully they fix that. Any other names you see here, Reese, or in general you want to call out so far after game 3?
Well, you firstly picked on the first one, T-Flick, Cascade, and Titan. They actually ended up switching their drop spot from going to Dirty Docks down to contesting retail. Seemed to work out good for them this game, but again, they're still not climbing up that leaderboard. It still doesn't look like as good a day as they had yesterday by any means. They were absolutely performing so well. And then again, Wilgoo's trio, who was performing very well yesterday, and again, today's been struggling with Storm Surge a little bit more. In this game, game 3, like I already talked about them in the Storm Surge earlier, they figured it out, it was going good, and actually saw a car explode and knock Wilgoo in his box. So very unfortunate, but they managed to make it to endgame, but just didn't quite make it all the way through.
And they did jump up, though. They jumped up a little bit, so another step in the right direction. Ultimately, guys, that was the halfway mark. We're going to toss a quick break. When we return, there'll be more Fortnite action. This is the grand finals, so we'll see you here soon. Welcome to the 0 Point. This center map desert location is the new central point for the lore of Fortnite. Not only that, it houses the new crystals that allow you to teleport. Now, under the effect of the crystal, you can actually dash in any direction. This allows you to exploit inside of boxes, take fights confidently, or even go for high ground if you look straight up in the air. With this being the latest addition to the Fortnite world, another mobility item enters the fray. This one here is going to be the Colossal Coliseum. Located just in the eastern portion, right outside the new 0 Point Rift, this location is a very interesting one. The huge cement walls circle the entire arena, leaving no room for escape, but it's the upper balcony that you want to land on. Loot will circle the entire upper portion and the perimeter of the outside of this Coliseum here, and chests do spawn up above. If you work your way down towards those dungeons though, you will find layers on every single area. Just outside of this POI lies a reboot van. This is a popular location for teams rotating in, trying to find themselves a cheeky pickup. And into the dungeons, you'll find tons and plenty of loot. This medieval spin the Colossal Coliseum brings to the Fortnite world, it's going to be an interesting drop spot for sure.
There's a rumble in the jungle. A little bit of Jurassicness inside this park. That's right, we're talking about the stealthy stronghold, a new northern POI added to Fortnite with gameplay elements you used to find in Sunny Steps and Lazy Lagoon. We have rivers, trees, ruins, all encompassed inside unbreakable walls that have somewhat of quarantine doors you can walk through to be extra careful when getting hot inside this spot. Very difficult to fight though, lots of chests available as well as a reboot van. There's a lot of enclosed things and possible secrets to this POI as well. It comes fitted with a stealthy little basement that has its own chest spawns and benches available to be broken for gold bars. I'm wondering what type of lore there is available with this. Might be a bounty man's hideout, we'll see how that goes. But regardless, a lot of key places you want to be able to control inside this new POI. You can just kind of rotate out of here as well, going towards Pleasant, get your brick up, a little bit of metal, as well as a lot of wood available. If you find yourself in an end game over here, once again, be careful about those walls because you can't build through them, you can't break through them, you have to go above and around them. Enjoy Stealthy Stronghold in the new season of Fortnite, and let's see how it works inside the competitive game mode. In Season 5, a new terrain is added to the game in the name of sand. Spread throughout the entire middle of the map, there's a lot more that meets the eye to this thing that's an addition to the new POIs. For starters, if you drop down into the sand by standing still for a few seconds, you can start to move fast, somewhat unnoticeable, all around the sand as long as you don't crash into any other type of terrain. Past that too, you can wait in hiding, barely noticeable for people around in the sand. It's very hard and a sneaky tactic. Here it is in use. If you see someone who's far away, you would usually not be able to sneak up on them without building or being noticed. You can quickly catch up with sand, get the drop, and throughout the entire main center portion of the map, you'll definitely see people utilizing this to be able to rotate fast, unseen, and possibly start some very, very crazy fights.
There's always a spark, a flicker, a brief disruptive force, an incitement to action, a moment where you say, I will not be pushed, and you find your reason to push back. What ignites you? Is it the moment, the teammates you shared with, or how you know that your path is no longer the same? What ignites you? When potential becomes talent, or when bonds prove stronger than adversity? Whatever ignites you, that's where PlayVS will be, a stage for you to shine. And it all begins with a spark.
A new POI has emerged.
Welcome back to the PlayVS Fall 20 College Championship. It's MonsterDface, ShyoWager, and Reisshub here delivering all the action. We just watched the conclusion of the halfway mark. Game number 3 just ended, and the narrative is shifting. The teams at the top have gotten a little bit closer. The squad that came in with the lead is not quite holding the lead as far anymore. So it's getting very tight towards the top there, Shyo.
Yeah, and like the games have kind of been like that as well. We see this repeated thing of Tiger having trouble wrapping up games. It gets very messy at the last shot. Any other patterns you see, Reese?
I see rifting into that 5th zone, and that's it. Taking height and moving on.
Awesome. Let's hit it up though. Next game 4 starting up. We got Speedy, Jelly, and Mackle. The guys who performed very well in that last game stayed alive on low, but could not wrap things up just yet. Dropping down what looks like that dam. That's where they get that RPG from Ruckus, it looks like, Monster.
Yeah, this is that Jock Acorn split right here, playing for this factory location. There's a lot of loot to be made here. You can see there's a team that lands up above. He's gonna get tagged a few times. Usually what you want to do from here as a trio is rotate your way towards that slurp truck that's off in the distance. But with the way this team has this hold up above, I mean, that could turn out to be quite a problem. We'll find out shortly of whether or not they end up using their heals. They actually challenge the fight in here. Hold up. Punishment comes out, and already they have to chug splash up.
If you guys are unfamiliar with watching this fight go down against this AI, his name's Ruckus. Has like the most insane aim. Has, I think, what looks like about like 1,000 shield or something. It seems like it's impossible sometimes to take him down. You need multiple angles, mats, and guns to be able to approach that. But for good cause, drops a legendary heavy AR and a legendary RPG sometimes.
Yeah, he's definitely got some power loot. Ruckus, the king of the dam over here, he's not one to be messed with. I mean, again, most of these AI will start to battle with you if you just look at them the wrong way and aim your weapon in their direction. They'll immediately start firing. They don't wait for you. I find it to be pretty interesting on how that works out. I kind of like it though as well. Try to do a cheese strat. If you get really close to them, box them up, and aim at them, a pulsation pops off around them, and it actually blasts you back. Fun fact.
Really?
Yeah, so there's no easy way to take them out, basically.
That's wild.
Yep.
Ruckus, I think that specific AI too, you can't actually trade with. He's literally just there to shoot people. So
is he full aggro all day?
He's full aggro all the time. So there's actually no possible. Yeah, he's like a henchman.
He's a villain. Absolutely.
A menace. Absolute menace.
Yikes.
Look at this though. This is kind of like menacing as well in terms of Burrito, Green, and Noms in this tournament. So far, I think they're around 30th place. Have not found a drop spot. Everywhere they go, seems like they're interrupting another team on their looting path. That or just drawing attention. The Holly Hedges team coming over saying, hey, who's taking part of our split right now? This purple arrow on the mini map is looking for that beam potential, looking for some trouble.
Yeah, I want to say this is a decent spot for loot. Like a full trio can get some guns here. I'm not sure if it's going to be enough to be in full fighting power though, or fighting stance. The Colossal Coliseum being the same as well. This is a drop spot that is very hard to navigate. Communication and accuracy is what's going to carry you through this drop here. You can see that not only does Jake have very limited builds, but his entire team is going to be on that same boat. Everyone that drops here will be in that same area. So if there's a squad here, which there is, it's DJ, Mike, and Carpsy up above. It's going to be a tough fight to take. You can't build like this. You have to really be cautious of how you do it. It's all gunplay from here. Let's see. He's going to find one tag onto Mike. They're going to have the high ground hold.
This is going to be difficult. You can see by the points that Jake has. 7 so far in 3 games. Definitely not looking too hot on early game fights or late game prowess. That just means for this engagement, they are the underdogs in the Coliseum. If you could put on your bets on exactly who can end up winning this game right now, it looks like it's Mike and DJ who just have the best position so far, probably have better loot as well. And this might just be a long and drawn out fight. I think I can predict that Jake might not be able to survive it out.
Yeah, they're trying to chop it down, actually. So this might work out. Let's see. He's going to make the edit, turn the ramp back around, and should break it off here. But no, they reconnect, and they're connected up to one ramp. In comes the more shots. Let's see. Anything. It's out in the open gunfire. In comes the heavy AR. There's enough tags to do the job. Mike and DJ get taken out. I mean, if Mike and DJ with high ground just didn't stop putting firepower down, they would have won that because their entire team didn't have any builds. That's what I was talking about.
When you got to go all in on one aspect, I guess they tried to play like both sides of the coin there. They tried to have height, but at the same time not shoot. You can't do that. Looks like they might have had one teammate down to start off, but that's an upset for the lobby. We've seen Mike almost there in every single high tier mid ground situation, kind of dictating how people move around. Looks like for this end game, things are going to be really, really different over at Craggy Cliffs. And because Husan, these guys are also having trouble. We've seen them end games with no issues, and right now there's kind of like a pit stop in between.
Yeah, and they might be down a player, I think. I'm only seeing 2 crosshairs right there. Maybe one on the hill. Is that their teammate? No, that's Kilroy and Nano's teammate, Rubizu, there as well. Here's the angle right through the window. Andy steps out for the shots, but knows backed off. Split off. Kilroy gets tagged massively there. The bait was successful.
Swapping in and out, not much going on. The fight just on the outside. Kilroy playing the insurance. One person takes height, that's Husant. But we've seen it. Just because you have height doesn't mean it's the end all be all. You have to do something with it. Now that spray's coming in. Kilroy goes straight up. 100 mats left now. Song got dropped down, backed up into a box with Bizzle. Comes in from the backside for the pinch. There are the shots, but they don't actually connect. Kilroy now chasing Husan, who's just on a sliver of HP. Not going to be possible. Nanolo there too on the wall, looking for the shots. Husan now on his last mats. Kilroy effective from the backside. Endicus is there for the finish, giving Husan the siphon, but he trades his own life for it. But Nanolo takes that last shot, and Husan goes down.
He was quick on a draw there, but not fast enough. Husank is taken out. The dance for good measure as well. Here's another fight unfolding on the beachfront. Rhino looking to chop down here with King. Akron's Thirst is going to go ahead and back off. He's going to be able to reconnect still. 300 material, heavy mats, enough to continue to do something big here. The chop is going to happen once again. And yes, he gets tagged big time. 11 HP now. What can you do? Not much. When you have a duo hunting you down, make it a trio. I lied. The full team up alive still there. That was the end of the road for him. Where did this all break out? Just between Pleasant Park and Coral Castle. That prong that breaks out into the big ocean there. This seems like Rhino, Wilgrove, and King. Again, 3 massive eliminations. 32 points now. They've had an okay competition, right? After swinging back from that back page, a great game 3. Setting up for a strong game 4 now. Much better than their first 2 rounds that they had in the opening segments of the PlayVS Championship tonight.
The crazy thing is just how different these openings can be game to game. This is just a very different game with the people we have in here, Monster. Like, all the people we expect to be performing really well in game number 4 have slightly been taken out or affected. And a high flex going in with a big shot. There is that Dragon shotgun.
Wow.
Raining true. He's double shotting right now, Monster.
Yeah, I like it. I actually run the 2 just like this as well. I think that Dragon's Breath can be so useful in different instances. This being one of those unique circumstances. Oh, the charge was good. The AR body shot was good, but it wasn't enough. In comes the walk. The missed shot. It might be enough for him to get traded out. And yes, Quipmate's a valuable or a grave error there. Excuse. He missed the pump shot that would have literally given him all advantage, and then in the panic switches to the builds over the shotgun on accident, and that's how quickly things can end.
I want to know if Sirius is like his ex-teammate. Maybe there was some confusion. He thought he was playing duos again. Still valiant effort. I feel like he could have just picked that up with some more sprays, but everyone makes mistakes sometimes. It's just game 4. We have 2 more after this to wrap up this grand finals, wrap up the entire season 1 championship in fall 2020. And we have a lot more players around the map. Salty Towers, once again, Monster, a hot spot for people to reconvene.
And honestly, realistically, the best play would have been to make the wager edit, right? Open up the God edit, hit the charge shot, and not fully commit to the box. Like, you would have had the siphon off the rip right there. But either way, that fight's done and dusted. Dylan, Derpy, and Arrow, a star team out of yesterday's heat, is having a rough competition day today. Tournament day is always the hardest to show up for. Grand finals is the day that you want all that good luck on your side. You want your shots to connect. You want these zones to pull your way. Seems like so far, though, they've been fighting an uphill battle. Have they reached the top, though? Will they be able to skate down nice and easy from here forwards? They still have 3 full games in front of them. Anything can happen. The narrative can change. I feel like we see it all the time. Teams like Rhino, Wilgo, and King are doing just that.
Yeah, they've been pushing game after game. In the beginning, it wasn't really working out, but as everyone wants to play a little bit more passively, their aggressive playstyle actually ends up shining through. And this is a fight at Stealthy Stronghold. It's actually really tough to be able to decipher where is what. Your teammates have good angles. There's so many weird builds in the way. Some places you can't actually end up placing walls, and they're facing another very end game aggressive trio, AJ and company, who are somewhere near that top 5.
Yeah, this is very big for Chris Dots, Shario, and AJX. Chris Dots is popping off in that previous round. Remember, he did wipe a full trio by himself in the feed to carry his team to some extra placements towards the tail end, lifting them up into the standings. AJ finds a nice angle but doesn't capitalize. King turns around off of instinct and pressures him back down. To the dungeons they go. Here's AJ, completely boxed out. He's been found. We'll go looking for some angles. Not too sure how he wants to continue this fight here. Passive, though. Playing it nice and slow. Methodical with the positioning here. Doesn't want to overcommit and get punished. Looking for edits and angles. The angle is good here, though. The camera is going to be blocked out. And no, he backs off again. Shyo with this fight extending, though. Look, Harsh, Harmony, and company are up on the ridge now. They're on top of the fort walls. There's two teams on the fort walls. Actually, they can see everything going on here.
Kind of like guards on an outpost. Past that too, I think Duke is somewhere nearby. We saw them moving slightly in and out. I think there might be those white arrows at the bottom right side of that mini map. Another complete trio on the top two. Looks like this zone is circling straight to stealthy. There's so many trios around. These guys are still kind of in that secluded fight. Fully disengaged, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 teams on screen at the moment.
Getting a little bit of the Weeping Woods vibes from how the high trees are just allowing this team to have such a ridiculous battle in the middle of all these squads, but not have anyone fire on in. That's what geography and terrain can do in the Fortnite world. Little things like that determine how you get focused. Talking about focus, there's an open line of sight on the side of the zone here. IW's Kmart, Mogul, and Instinct are getting pushed now. I think it's King and company. Yes, they're here to fight. Okay, so they went from one battle, says, all right, these guys are a little bit too passive for our liking. Let's take another one. They jump onto a fully healthy trio over here. This, to me, sounds like a terrible idea. Why would you want to take on a fully fresh squad? And you can tell. Just look at the loadout there, Shyo. These guys are stacked. They're ready for battle.
Yeah, I mean, there's a big battering ram, though, that can actually break through these castle walls, these brick builds that the IWU trio has. I believe I heard an RPG on one of those pyramids shooting down, breaking some of those builds, but these guys have such a big, expansive base. It's going to be very difficult Rhino to do much. Rhino actually goes down. King on the backside. It might be just because of Surge. These guys haven't really found the most amount of AIs. It was Jelly's trio that has the RPG. Mogul now has switched the tension from having sprays to his builds. Now swapping over to the top-down view and leaving King down below. There's Jelly fighting wall-to-wall kill. Or King taking shots from up top. Rhino just got revived, so they need to buy some time for him to heal out. There's a shot on a Jelly. Big wager edits coming right through. And after that, the confirmation's there too. The RPG is actually down. These guys could have rockets of their own, and that could prove as a big reversal for their loadout strength.
Without a doubt. And now 2, 3, 4 eliminations for the trio here. Do they have shields to play off of, though? Because if they don't get to pick some up, okay, they do. I was going to say that will spell a very rough end game coming in for them. Still a couple teams are going to have to soldier through to make it to the next zone, but like we said, the way this terrain plays out, they should be able to rotate for free. And not only that, they've had so many fights in this area. They have a lot of old forts to go back to, possibly build off of, and save material in the stretch of things. So again, the battles work out, they play out in their favor. In this game 4 is setting up King, Wogo, and Rhino to have another back-to-back great run for them.
They like to have freedom, though, when they move. The biggest issue with Stealthy Stronghold, it has unbreakable walls, as we mentioned before. These guys will have to actually get high and mighty with their elevation. They can't stay low. They can't be as frivolous with moving up and down. It's something they love to do. It's how they get aggressive and find different angles. I'm wondering how they adapt to this zone.
Here we have it. Let's see how it's going to play out. University of Tennessee, Knoxville. Here looking to make things happen. A couple fun facts about Rhino and King. They're both multi-esport athletes. Rhino plays some Rocket League on the side. King plays Valorant, Rainbow Six, and League. That's up your lane there, Shyo.
Yeah. I mean, the greatest thing about playing multiple esports is the type of approaches that you have when you're problem solving, the type of different experience you can bring to every situation, every game plan. So no wonder these guys have such an expansive arsenal when they're taking boxes. They can be free to push over and over, but then still play that end game. The calls for this trio just must be so precise, so immaculate.
Yeah, Rhino and King actually were in top 5 coming out of the Season 0 championship. So they've performed on these big stages before. And that's why it was such a big, I guess, upset and a bad start for them. One that we didn't really expect. A team that finished already top 5 in a grands before on this PlayVS stage. Now have to step back in. Do it again here. But again, coming back from the deficit. They threw the 2 games that they could have possibly have tossed.
Still have 2 more to go after this one, though. We'll see Titan rotating way past away from Stealthy. Man, all these bases that everyone kind of invested in. They might have been thinking that it'd be a guarantee for Stealthy, but Titan gets shot on the back by gooooo, Rhino, and King. These guys just don't stop, and they have an RPG to use now too, Monster.
So huge. The shockwaves are going to come out. They're going to have to ditch the down body, and there it is. A refresher for the boys. They're back in it. Light ammo, medium ammo is going to be much appreciated here for Rhino, who needed something, but no. Little too happy on the back of the Storm Edge. Instinct and crew come back around to reinitiate this battle. They've been here before. They've had a stalemate once before. But now, Instinct and company have the high ground. They have the lead.
What do they need past this, though? They've been in the same box over and over, haven't gotten to refresh their materials or anything like that for a long time. Fish Flick, Slash, and Cut are there up top, not actually losing any teammates at all. Mars, 7, and BHEX from Maryland. They have that Rift Fish. They want to be able to hold this for as long as possible, though. They don't want to use that fish or rotate just yet, using all their mats. Mars just got a complete elimination, bumping back up to almost max mats. These guys are just missing, I believe, wood.
Yep, it's closer and closer. 89 points. They're fighting for that first place slot. Oh, no, the wall's going to get opened up there. And a big snipe comes in. BHEX gets ripped up. And now that might just end up costing them some more. No, luckily, there is a med kit there. It's not something we get to see very often this late in the game, but so happens to have the loot here. Chug splashes are not going to be needed to get dug into. There's an enemy base house just nearby. They're looking to control all these walls here, just in case. Trying to get back into the swing of things. BHEX does manage to heal up. There it is. Medkit successful. Big pots, big shields are here, all successful. The extra shotgun is going to be the clear indicator. This is where they got that single elimination that allows them to have the refresher, the extra heal, the medkit this late into the game. King in the feed there. Finds Sergeant Sash.
Oh, no way.
Yep.
That means that these guys pushed up for the highest point at Stealthy Stronghold so far, and possibly dictate what the rest of the lobby has to do. I was laughing before as well because this looks so stressful for these guys. Not only does everyone on low ground have to deal with like every other team focusing them, but there's like some sort of robot noise happening over and over again. That's like clouding their ears and their noise as well. They have to be extra vigilant. Maybe that's why these walls are breaking, not able to hear it, and then they lose all their HP. They have to be super focused on this time right now.
So you see your mic making robot noises. I didn't even notice it go on. There you have it, though. We're sliding on up. The zone's going northeast here. Everyone's shockwaving out. This is the first ever end game we've seen of the Storm or the Stronghold here up towards the top. I see Connor still up. Looks like Gage might still be alive in there and Exceed as well. So it might be a full trio. gooooo does play for high ground. They do manage to grab that. And there it is, the whole trio, the open fire. And yes, it's good. It's good for 2. Can they get the 3rd, though? Gage is down.
There's definitely a response there. Flying tack shot takes down Gage while 3 people are looking through the box. All good, they'll get him up. Fish there for use possibly as well to get those white heels up. If not, that siphon will be the thing that Gage has to look for. I think that will be the play to make. Have a lot of extra loot down there that they could possibly get. Maybe there's some bandages. I got boxed back over by metal. It's already been 25 seconds. I might actually make a dash for it. Be a trap. It's free.
2 big pots come out of it. Perfect for Gage here, who needs this heal. So there it is. That's going to be able to bounce both of them right back up. 51 points, making up for lost time. And now a Rift to Go Fish, 6 shockwaves. They have everything they need, just like they did before. The difference, though, their tops are covered. No one to land on them now. They're going to be setting up for the bouncer shockwave most like here. Maybe even the Rift to Go Fish. Connor's probably going to make the call early here. You can see he's going to want to take his whole team with him. Let's float. No one has high ground. Everyone's going to be focused on making the movement first. So this will give them a lot of time. And then they can land on high ground. gooooo is actually on height. They've been spotted out. Gage has to come down. Where's this trio?
The lowest team on that Rift fly. So obviously they will get focused right there. Connor makes it right by. Where's Exceed? Trying to drop down. I'm not sure if he found them. Harmony got beamed hard, Monster, coming down from the fly.
And Harmony's up there. They're in like 90-ish point place threshold so far. So this is a massive team to get wiped out if they get taken out this early. We need those big teams to fall if we want to keep this nice and close for the boys on the rise up to the top. Otherwise, it is going to be a runaway. Cinnamon is going to find one in the feed there too. That's the championship, season 0 championship trio right there. Coming on in, finding some points already. Remember, there's leading this. Wills gets edited on there. Wills gets taken out instantly. Another refresher for the boys there on the mid ground. Connor Exceed engaged, find another one. Will Grow still maintaining high ground though. This is a crazy run for them. They went from like literally 30th place now to high ground on game 4. Possibly even a top 10 run right now.
That will be huge. These guys are definitely packed for the long journey. I hope you are too, because this zone pulled way far away. Over no new builds on a max distance. This means everyone's mats will be tried, including that high ground team. Everyone will have to find some sort of refresh. King is still trying to survive all the way here. Connor looks like he's fighting for height with Gage. Another Ripfish coming through. Rhino taking some shots down. King though gets beamed. He has to heal up again. No help for Rhino as to solo that trio up top. See what King ends up doing next. Now just tarping, forced to play solo.
Ends up favored him too. It goes right back. So this is all through these old builds. This is going to change up the dynamic a lot. Someone's on his lair though. It's Derpy on the other side. Doesn't find him. Another player hops on through with pepper effects. It's a mix-up. Look at all the fire coming in from up top. Connor, Gage, and Exceed do manage to maintain and control high ground. Rhino and company jump down to low though, operating as a full trio still. Will Grow needs to get out of the storm line. There he is. Edits on down, and he passes 3 enemies on the way down here.
Unscathed though. There's like 2 different Fortnite games happening at the same time. One big fight for height, and now everyone is kind of jumbled up in that low ground. Connor, Exceed, and Gage decide to visit game number 2 and have some answers and questions of their own with big beams focusing River. He can't even move. The communication looking so good for this team. Gage there with the big edits too onto control, separates him from Harsh. Does not get the body though, so they won't have the refresh.
That's important. And Steve is still in this game. Fuzzy's still in this game. They're lighting up the feed as well, finding a few here. Can Gage get the refresher his team needs right now? He's out and about on the material here, running very, very low. Another great tag here. It's a trio in a box though. Still, they have to be careful right now. Any opportunity for them to capitalize is going to punish them big time. Shockwaves come through. It wasn't good. Couldn't get inside the box. And now a scramble up for the high ground. Can they control it again? They get shocked out into the zone this time around. No, it's a fight in the storm line. Gage is good for it. He finds Duke. Into the storm he goes. Can he get Will Go? No, not in time. He's down.
He's down, out for the count. Now all up to Connor from height. There's random shockwaves littered across the floor. There's random trios fragmented, looking for a chance to survive in the depths of the low ground build jungle. Connor though stays up top on the food chain, running out of resources though. One person jumps on height, might have gone down to the zone, and he missteps and goes down to the fall damage.
Rhino is still up though with King here, and like we said, the Cinderella story to come back from the back pages all the way up now. King falls down, finds a siphon. That's going to be massive. More HP for him now. He can back up his squad mate just here. Maybe King goes up for high ground, and no, it's enough to give away the siphon. Rhino finds the shot in the final moments, and there it is. It's a 2-for-1 special onto Steve and King in the last instances.
From 30th place all the way up now to 76 points. The last 2 games for Rhino, Wilgo, and Co. These guys are just so phenomenal, so momentous. I mean, Reese, what are we watching here?
I don't know. No, in all honesty, these guys have played so good. The start, they started really not good. They were struggling with the Storm Surge a ton. We've already mentioned it a bunch of times. They figured this out. They're going to go north. They're going to go to the Stronghold and just completely dominate from there on, picking up their Storm Surge tags and moving on.
The standings are ready, though, so we'll get to see how it plays out. Like you said, though, Shyo, they jump up to 76 points. That puts them in the top 8. What a run. And honestly, it just shows you it's not over till it's over, man.
Not at all. And right now, they're in shooting distance. It feels like they're controlling the lobby in all instances. Regardless of that, though, no matter who's aggressive, Steve, Cinnamon, and Fuzzy find themselves alive in almost every endgame, Reese.
almost every endgame they're playing so consistently. These guys have a 23.44% chance of winning overall and staying in that first place slot. So really looking strong right now. An average placement of 3.8 is incredibly consistent after this amount of games. So I'm looking for them to do exactly the same thing after the next few games coming on, because let's be real, once teams get that enigma and they keep moving, it's just going to keep moving.
Yeah, and it's crazy. Their average placement has improved since the last game. I think when we came in, they had about 4. That second place slides them up a little more now. Looking pretty crazy up towards the top 8. It's a close competition here. Dictator, Connor, Exceed OG, and Gage fight their way, battle their way back to their 9th spot slot there. And that just shows you if they weren't taken out in that previous run, they'd be so much deeper into the standings. But still, it's a close run here. Mills, Josh, Crispy, Smarty maintain the 10th slot here. And it's so much closer down towards the bottom. Remember, you really want to be fighting for top 10, top 11. That's where the prizing really starts to bump up. And that scholarship money comes in hefty.
Yeah, and any one of these trios on this page can do exactly what Rhino just did with King and Wogo. They can have a pop-off standout game, get towards that top 10, get towards higher prizing for those scholarship funds. And we have one more page to look at right here. It's not over for any of these guys. All the drop spots are looking active. It's just about what they do after that first zone closes in, Reese.
Yeah, and some of these teams down in the bottom of the leaderboard are going to be struggling right now. Their motivation's going to be low. You know, 4 games have passed. It's a really tough on the mentality, but they need to turn that around. They can easily do this. One big game, like we've already said, can absolutely climb them up the leaderboards. And despite the fact that they are obviously in that bottom end of the leaderboards right now, 1 or 2 big games can easily push them up into the next prizing thresholds.
Yeah, and there's only 6 games. That was the 4th to conclude, so we're well and beyond that halfway mark. The final stretch is just laid out before us. No pain, no gain, though, for teams like King, Rhino, and Will Go there, because they jump up to 8th place, and it's not over yet. We're going to toss to a very quick break. When we return, we'll grind out this final stretch here, guys.
It's located to the south side of the map on the hills where the Sentinel's graveyard used to be. This location also has a ton of IO soldiers that spawn around it. Difficult to eliminate because they have so much effective HP. However, you're guaranteed to get a rare tactical assault rifle from eliminating them, which is huge for ammo management. Since there's so many hills surrounding it, fighting in this area is really difficult because teams are always on these high points in the hills, shooting down at players who are down below. And speaking of hills, this is probably one of the best spots for Storm Surge in the game. It's a center map position. It already has hills surrounding it so that you can end up ticking tags on players who are rotating all the way through. And this was true in previous seasons even when there wasn't a POI here. So this spot is gonna be hot. Like many of the new spots on the map, there's an underground bunker that has more loot and some indestructible walls here too. Who knows what this will play in the future, but I certainly wouldn't want to be stuck down here when the zone starts to pull in.
Tilted Towers is back, but with an extra pinch of salt on the side. That's right, one of the new POIs that we have on the center portion of the map is a combination of both classic Fortnite action POIs, that is Salty Towers, including a reboot van and all the classic buildings you love from both POIs, including that new gas station that's been upgraded with those fuel tanks from Season 3. You have an amalgamation of an amazing gameplay experience where the hottest of drops end up happening and a lot of loot is up for grabs. We'll see how popular this POI is in competitive, but we have those big tall buildings from Tilted. On the left side, the clock tower is still there, with the garage house and Salty as well. A lot of metal brick available on the map, as well as that new sand you can use to be a little bit sneaky compared to the competition. We'll see how it works over the course of many competitions to come.
Welcome to the 0 Point. This center map desert location is the new central point for the lore of Fortnite. Not only that, it houses the new crystals that allow you to teleport. Now, under the effect of the crystal, you can actually dash in any direction. This allows you to exploit inside of boxes, take fights confidently, or even go for high ground if you look straight up in the air. With this being the latest addition to the Fortnite world, another mobility item enters the fray. This one here is going to be the Colossal Coliseum. Located just in the eastern portion, right outside the new 0-point rift, this location is a very interesting one. The huge cement walls circle the entire arena, leaving no room for escape, but it's the upper balcony that you want to land on. Loot will circle the entire upper portion and the perimeter of the outside of this Coliseum here, and chests do spawn up above. If you work your way down towards those dungeons though, you will find layers on every single area. Just outside of this POI lies a reboot van. This is a popular location for teams rotating in, trying to find themselves a cheeky pickup. And into the dungeons, you'll find tons and plenty of loot. This medieval spin the Colossal Coliseum brings to the Fortnite world, it's going to be an interesting drop spot for sure.
There's a rumble in the jungle. A little bit of Jurassicness inside this park. That's right, we're talking about the stealthy stronghold, a new northern POI added to Fortnite with gameplay elements you used to find in Sunny Steps and Lazy Lagoon. We have rivers, trees, ruins.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Game 5 is just about to be underway here for the PlayVS Fall 20 College Championship. It's your boys MonsterDface, ShyoWager, and Reisshub bringing all the action today. Reisshub, you've been breaking down a lot of, I guess, the intricacies of the trios and how they're performing and how the end games are playing a factor. We're getting to those later portions of the stage now where we can take some bold predictions for winning. I think it's safe to say, you know, our top 3 or so are looking very good.
Our top 3 are looking really good. It's always the way it is. You've got 2 more games left. It is up to anyone right now, though. You know, anyone can make a big play to get for first. Just a really interesting note on the top 3 teams. All 3 of them actually drop on the south side of the map, and all the 4 games we've had so far have been first zone completely to the north. So despite the fact they're not getting an easy zone for them, they're completely making the best of it. So these guys aren't being gifted zones or anything. They're playing their hearts out.
That's actually really cool to, you know, see how zones are affecting things. Because in heats, so we're all central. We had a lot of people having the opportunity to do whatever they wanted, and it felt like they were the same teams taking over, maybe because of the zone, but with the zone being against these guys, they're still performing. This shows me how good they are, how much they've learned from the opens to heats to the finals now.
I was going to say, we've seen championship trios like, I'll just use Xset, for example, have zone and then have their worst games off of the zone just being on top of them, right? Some teams just work better when they have to move and then push through teams, because when other teams have to move first, they are more likely to collide into one another, have fights. So you have the option to pick and choose your third-party battles. So, you know, sometimes not having a zone can work out in your favor. And it seems like for the teams up towards the top, for whatever reason, it's working and something's going well for them. With game number 5 being here, though, we're going to hop right into it. Seems like the battle bus is just about to be on the way. Guys, this is the final stretch. This is the last couple of rounds now for any team to go ahead and make a statement here. So let's see how it's going to unfold here as the battle bus loads up and we jump right into it.
Yes, let's go into it. We're hyper excited for game number 5 because it seems like even though there's 3 or 4 teams up top guaranteed to take first, there are these teams in 10th place, even down to 30th place, who are affecting the game state of every single game individually.
Absolutely. Every battle creates an effect, a ripple effect within the lobby. Here's Steve, Cinnamon, and Fuzzy, though. What was it? 2nd place in the previous round. They just came out, but they're leading the charge here, leading the competition coming into the final rounds. And they're landing at, honestly, one of my favorite drops of the new map. Between the Haven and the Coliseum, honestly, I feel like the Fortnite team has developed some iconic drop spots that I'm absolutely in love with.
Yeah, the Haven, this is one of those dope places. Fun fact too about it, this is some Fortnite lore type beats going on. Every single house just has a little bit of reminiscence of every single bounty hunter that's in the game. So they have the designs of the Mandalorian inside. They have a little bit of pancakes around in some of these houses. At the same time, we have those IO guards that spawn, allow Fuzzy, Steve, and Cinnamon to get that surge, as well as I believe Lexa in one of these houses as well that can offer up a bounty.
Yeah, and that's why it's called the Hunter's Haven. They can see everyone on that bounty list here. Gotta love what Epic does with the Fortnite story. Here, though, Steve, Cinnamon, and Fuzzy completely uncontested. A lot of room to work with here. And let's think about this drop spot. Let's break down this drop spot as a place for trios. I'd rate it very highly. Center location, you're likely to catch a new zone. Isolated and access to two great material sources, right? You're going to find your wood. You're definitely going to get your brick out of this. And then let's talk about rotating out. There's so much loot options when it comes down to whether or not you want to go north, east, west, or south, right? There's so many routes you can take to actually find additional loot on your way out.
And you're always at a good vantage point as well because there's so many mountains around. So you can spot loot if it's looted or not, like buildings from a longer distance. You can actually spot enemies coming at you from a longer distance as well. You basically have like a moat around you with Misty Meadows, Lazy Lake, and the Coliseum being slightly lower than every other kind of natural terrain around you. Besides that, though, one of the classic POIs we've seen Tax, Phantom, and Thanks use pretty much uncontested the entire day. Now it feels like there's a few more arrows than usual. It's Sweaty Sands.
Yeah, definitely. There's a team nearby, one in the docks and spread out towards these other houses here. Honestly, this is helpful for Tax, Phantom, and Thanks, though. If they manage to find out one of these teams sooner rather than later, they can take advantage of the wide split they have going on. Doesn't seem like they're looking to really force the issue here. It's Titan and company who have been switching up their drop spot consistently throughout the day. What's that? The second or third team we've seen do it? Just testing the waters.
They got tested. Like, they got pushed out of dirty by Gage's squad, and then past that tried retail, won, but didn't win the game. So I guess they moved on again, and now they're at Sweaty Sands. Like, they gotta find a home, man. They gotta find one soon.
Here's another team that needs to find a home. It's Burrito and company. They've also been having a struggle of a day, mixing it up here and there. This time, though, okay, they're winning the battle. Akron's Thirst here is on the run. Cold Red already down. Trigger already down. Thirst not really, having much here. A great tactical shotgun. There's just no shot, right? There's no opportunity here. There it is. He gets beamed. That's a white tag. It's a rip. No shields to go with it. Little does he know, the angle is clear for the side. Gets one off, but gets taken out.
I thought Green was going to BM there a bit with the harpoon. Let me go for some trick shots in one of these final games. 18 points. These guys will need a phenomenal 2-game run here. In the last 2 games we have the PlayVS Fall Championship. Looking at the map now. Usually get to see some fights breaking out here and there, but looks like a lot of people are staying secluded. Maybe some beef will happen at Craggy very soon. Maybe a fight at Steamy Stacks, but besides that, everything else is looking nice, good old hunky-dory.
Except here in the Coliseum, looks like we have a couple of players here on top of one another. Rocket Man, Jake, and Kep Daddy. A squad that's not performing too hot right now. Definitely down towards the bottom of the standings. They've been battling here against Mike, DJ, and others all day long. We've seen this battle unfold in a multitude of different ways. This time around, though, Mike gets taken out. DJ gets beamed down, too. No shield for him, and Carpsy is available inside the box. The edit was bad, though. Missed opportunity there. Slides around the side, and the angles are so good from his trio. You can see they're just trying to control as much of this as possible. Seems like Carpsy's also lost his shield. Here's his perspective. What in the world? He tries to trigger the gladiator in the middle there to see if he can get him, I guess, to jump into the fight. Honestly, it probably wasn't even that. It's probably just reaction. Saw someone there, fired at it. You can see that's what I was talking about.
Sometimes. Yeah, the little pulse.
Mm-hmm.
They get him down. That's a perp tac AR that he ends up dropping. So these guys put that to full use. Oh, heavy AR, apologies. That's unfortunate. 2 games in a row kind of lost from Mike's squad at the Coliseum.
Yeah, and Jake, Kep, and Rocket haven't done much with the wins either, right? Like, they've only gotten to 20 points, so it's really been those 3 that they catch off the drop, and then a few after, but not any big end games, I'd say, right? No massive end games to really jump them up. Not capitalizing, not the way Will Go King and his teammate have been doing. They've jumped up to top 8 in the standings. Here's another squad on the bubble here to break towards that top 10 standing. Kmart, Instinct, and Mogul looking in, trying to save Kmart, who has a full trio up above him. Vexemity in Savage mode is pushing in. Tag comes in, he finds a white. Kmart defends himself, he wins one of his own trades. And that's a problem for the enemies. They make it a 1v1 for him. They made that Elim available.
There's an opening in the box. Instinct is there though. A kind of bait and switch. Everyone drops in, focuses over on Kmart. Instinct can then just shoot them in the back with the blue tack over and over. Wipes them up with just a few shots.
Quick and easy it was. Just like that. I mean, the thirst though. The thirst did come out. Some Moguls down. That's going to really chew into the timeline here. They're going to have to back up to the Coral Castle, get the save off. Mogul's going to have to figure out a situation to get his loot back and get back into the game without wasting too much time. But it's only zone 1, so it's totally fine here. This is game 5 of 6. After this will be the final game. Here's how the fight at Sweaty Sands turned out. Seems to be like it extended out for a little bit. No sides end up finding much, so they back off. Flick actually had a single Elim there.
It might have been a big reboot that got off. Might have been a elimination from distance. We see Flick pick those up sometimes here and there from no matter where it is on the map, dirty or sweaty. And past that too, one big thing to note is that this trio always operates well when they're actually fueled up completely on mats, on loot. The loot's looking kind of good. I think Cascat would prefer attack shotgun, but the mat's kind of in trouble. You're gonna be uncomfortable. Might have to end up pushing a team or be in a bad spot if it continues that way.
Anthem's, Wills, and Kinser have been winning their drop over and over here. Salty Towers. This is the second time we tune in now, and they seem to have been putting themselves in a situation of fight for 6. Salty Tower, such a hot spot for rotates through. Like we mentioned, all this loot that's here, but more importantly, it's the layout. This is the home of fighting as we know it. The earliest days of Fortnite competition. But no, it's not going to break out into a 3-on-3. 55 points, though. Very, very good. Very decent. Closing into the top 11. Just a few placements off. One more good game, 2 more good games, and they can definitely break into that top 5 situation here. But again, their drop spot's contested, so anything can happen.
Yeah, they fought before. Wills ends up always as a solo in that end game, goes down. It's just that mentality, that little echo, the voice in your head saying, you need these 2 games. It has to go well. These guys will never be able to play on their own pages, right? Compared to the top 5 who are, you know, just playing their game. Got to be consistent. Do what you need to do. Make some decisions. Always be that little air of desperation behind them, especially for Titan, Flick, and Cass. After being so good in the heats, just not performing as well today, it has to hit that psyche hard.
You can see King and Reiner are actually down a man, which means Wilgo is out of the competition. We saw them fighting at the Stronghold in the previous game for a long time there. Not sure where they lost the man, but the fact that they're down is an alarming sight because they had 2 bad games already, followed by 2 good games. Titan does have a sniper, though, so the peak has to be careful from up above from Rhino. He's sliding on over. I think he wants this high ground here. Let's see. No way. He's going to go up from way off in the distance. Yeah, he's just going to beeline it. They're not looking. Rhino catches it in time, but doesn't go for the break. Instead, it gives Titan enough time to go in and connect up. High ground fight. He does have the charged shotgun. Looks to reconnect. Jumps down. Gets tagged from the distance on the way down, and now he's down to no shield. This could be the end for them. It's a 3v2. This is tough for any duo to win.
He's hard chasing right now.
Ooh.
Finds one opening. Almost there on the other side too. It's a 50-50 on which side he actually picks. The edit's there with the wall. 20 HP on his opponent. There it is. Rhino getting caged. Now shaken down. Doesn't get the full surge off.
The surge doesn't work either way, though, if I'm not mistaken. Unless it gives you the full damage that the weapon can do. Either way, there was some adjustments there. The knock was good, though. King is now by himself. He's probably going to fall here as well. Here's a 3v3 happening. Same position every time. Phantom, Tax, and Thanks. They set up, they base up around opponents, and then just go for the spam fire. They do this over and over. This time, though, Phantom gets punished for it. And now the counter fire begins. Getting a taste of their own medicine here. They do have these walls, though. He could jump down and turn this story around. Let's see. Yes, Thanks gets right into the mix of it. But no, Phantom fully thirsted out. 31 damage above the surge here, Shyo. They have to fight.
Have to try to get in at some point somewhere. The map's also looking low. This is just a message to them from the server that, hey, yeah, this is the only decision you have. Playing this passive will not go too well. Thanks setting up for the pinch. Tax there too. Maybe baiting out this edit, but I feel like Mackle already saw him cross by. Jenkins and his entire trio watches from a bush. Wills from the distance. They could have a sniper to open up and shoot Tax at the back of the head. He ends up staying still for too long. Any options?
Limited.
Shockwaves come up.
They do come up, though. Let's see. Tax doesn't even take advantage of that to get any tags here. Instead, he's going to play for the low. He doesn't have a lot of mats either. Really fight for this. Somehow, some way, though, the box up was good. The shots are coming in. They give up on him for a second. He tries to assist his teammate here with the hard mats and the step up. But the scramble is real. It's only becoming worse and worse as the time ticks on, as the lobby focuses. They do have the storm surge that they needed. I mean, that's that, but for how long? How much longer will that last?
Just being down one teammate is so rough. So difficult, especially in these last two games. Everyone's going to be focused on team play, going to be focused on making it to end game before anything else. A duo works well when fights happen. You could have someone win that 1v2 and then, you know, end up with an even playing field overall on the fight. But when it comes straight to having mats, having a loadout, you're down 5 slots, you're down about 1,500 materials. It looks really rough for your trio.
For sure. In the distance, Anthems and Crew rotating out of Salty, playing that outer edge. Jelly goes up again here for the high ground. It's not good. He gets punished one more time. Every time they've done this, it hasn't amounted to anything. This trio, when you do these shockwave plays, you have to do them together with a strategy to build up and take height. One solo doing it is just not enough. For that reason, we're seeing a bit of a misplay here in the waste of the shockwaves.
See what Mac ends up doing up here with Jelly. These guys always somehow find some weird way to end up in endgames.
It's all big
Here's
pressure.
gonna be, yeah, big low ground pressure.
That's all it is. It's just all big pressure here from the low ground. They have the zone on their side. I mean, honestly, this is a pointless fight at this time now. You really think about it. They're just digging into what little that they have, and the zone hasn't even revealed itself, so...
So what ends up happening next for these guys? They are slightly more isolated. There goes Tax down. Jelly will need to find a little bit of that healing happening. There it is, the minis. Emotions tense right now.
We got him. We got him.
Hi.
We got him. 50 seconds left here. That was a fight that was just not worth it. Just look at their situation now. You have the lobby looking in their direction. Lines of sights everywhere on him. And if the zone doesn't pull somewhat close to them, they don't have a lot of material to make way here. Not a lot of ammo either. Very little on the heels. All that for 2 eliminations. On the other side, a different story. A team that's completely kitted and seem to have had a free pass this time around. That's different. They're up in 75 points. They've broken back into that top 9 hold. What can they do with it?
They can hopefully have a good game, but every time you've seen Connor exceed engage, hyper focusing on their next rotate, looking for shots, they end up actually being caught with their pants down. Some random trio can shockwave in or just hyper focus on not rotating. Like right now, things seem pretty free. Everyone's still focusing on the movement. No one's really sitting in their bases anymore. You could make a dash to get towards that zone, but you see these type of sentinel trios just in their bases. hovering over like gargoyles, looking for the next shot to take. Control, Harsh, and Harmony are the main ones holding off the entire south side. Cut gets in, but at the cost of losing Sash and Flicks way earlier in the game. He's playing solo again, I think for the third time in this tournament.
Yeah, we've seen it over and over. Cut here in these final moments by himself. He does have a charged shotgun, though. It's a good weapon as a bailout, but I don't know. If he gets slammed on by a few players, a swarm, it's all over. Gage gets knocked there. Looks like it was a sniper shot on a full moving. Might have been from Steve, Cinnamon, and Fuzzy there. And the shots are coming in. They're pressuring in. Exceed, no, has to stop the cancel on the heel there. He gets tagged through the builds, has to change layers. This is the worst layer to be in now. Forced into a crouch. The backside was open. Luckily, the server didn't notice. And once again, now Connor has to go for the heel here. They know where he is, though. Lobby putting in all this pressure here. They don't want these heals to happen. A minute left on the clock. Back to the bush they go. Gage might have been shot as a down body as well, by the way. But the save is going to be good.
Hopefully, it will actually bite into two of the floppers Connor has. Might just greed for the one. Past that, have to still make it to zone. They're always ending up late in here. Yesterday, we saw the best thing they did is control zone early. So I'm not sure what the difference is about, but they're definitely going to be following through with that plan. Connor with the big beams. Now 1.2k damage ahead of Surge. I'm not sure why they even want to have these beams.
I think they want to shockwave. Yeah, they want to play off these knocks here to get this loot. Definitely, they need these elims. They want to play for the first place spot.
True.
There still is a gap to be made, so these are fights that are much warranted. And if you really think about it, it's first place or nothing, right? Otherwise, you might as well take the risk. Oh, good shot here. That's a payback. Redemption for Gage. An eye for an eye, a snipe for a snipe. Cinnamon goes down. The rocket launchers are good as well. Will they shockwave onto this? I do wonder. Oh, they're just going to force the entire fight from the other trio as well. All these guys are looking to get taken out here.
Lobby focus time. Cario is right at the backside looking for the beams. I believe Cario as well, somewhere either in that top 10, if not looking in. So this is a huge one. There is that big boom. The first place team is now down almost two teammates. Fuzzy did get picked back up, but is at barely any HP, no shields. A third RPG shot over from XC. More beams coming down. Steve taken out. Fuzzy taken out. All up to Cinnamon, but he barely has any shields to hold on.
And that's good because Steve was knocked by Connor shortly after. So although Fuzzy was picked up, they still get a single elimination off of that. They still have a shockwave and a bouncer to play with here. They didn't even use a lot of material either. So all of a sudden, they're still very much in this game. Cinnamon by himself opens fire on a full trio to force them to build here, trying to put up a little bit of a front per se, because he's got to move by himself. 88 mats, everyone's already gone. So first place is completely hurt, but not out yet, which is still important for the standings. Wait a second, I might have spoken too soon as Cinnamon now gets pressured in.
How many more points can he really get is the big question. He has, nope, too long of a way to get this zone. Gets taken out. 129 points is what everyone has to beat to take first place for game number 5, to have a lead coming to the final game of the college championship for this season.
That was the biggest shakeup we've seen today so far. And this is when we expect it to happen in the final games now, when it matters most. First place team getting dropped. Don't forget, that's our season 0 champions that were holding it up until this point. Slowly, surely, they made their way there. They had that taste of first again. And now they have to climb their way back up. It's going to be a bit of an offset. Who's going to take advantage of the top teams being down? Harsh, Control, and Harmony have been playing so good up until now. Still doing it. 2 Rift to go fish. So yes, they can afford to quickly use this one, burn this one.
Oh, this is tragic. Focus from heights. Harsh almost going down. He has the other fish. He has to really get based up here. Hopefully his teammate finds the box too. There it is. Everyone now together. Harsh, Control, Harmony moving forward, still below Surge.
Oh, no.
Oh my God, how is he alive?
Oh, time to rift out. Time to rift out. You got to use it. Don't lose it here. No. Instead, he's just going to mini. He wants to fight for it. He's looking for siphons down on the low ground. If he goes down, that's the whole rift. There it is. A little too close for comfort. Actually, I respect him for going for tags there. His team is below the Surge as well. Only 10 seconds now for them to find something, so he has to come up big here. He has to get into the mix. He can't afford to waste time. Into the box he goes, potentially. Harmony still hunting as well. Points are just being given out right now.
Placement dropped left and right. Shots fired all the way around. Control goes down in the box. All up to Harmony and Harsh, trying to look by, trying to get some shots in. They finally survive Surge, but the cost that one of their 3 legs they have to push forward in this competition. Harsh taking a lot of dose zone damage, more than he can actually handle. 32 HP, can only really operate off of the eliminations. Him and Harmony still in control right now. Harmony with a big shot off the Titan going down. The edit gets open. The siphon is there. The replay swall. Not an opportunity that Harmony has to take. Has shockwaves, pops one, gets ahead, stuck in a tree. How are these guys even functioning at this point? He runs into another enemy and is still a live monster.
Yeah, he definitely just skated past that one there. This is the final destination, though. He's out. 3 eliminations and a top 10. That is the plays that you want to make there as a solo in the final moments. Sage looking to do the same now. Dip DMA here to back him up, though. This is a full trio operating here. Mid-ground push, pushing players back. Flick is going to be a nice refresher for them. That's more and much needed mats. Shockwave in the inventory, too. Down in the low ground. Connor and Exceed still alive here. 4 elims, rocket launcher, 6 shockwaves. Again, another team that is breaking their way to triple digits here now. Opportunity. Here it comes. There's 1 rocket. They have to time this rocket for an elim, for a refresh.
Timed wrong. It could backfire. They have 6 more shockwaves to use to Exceed. Should escape now. He should pop it over. He's going to leave Connor on his lonesome, though. Pocket RPG might just be used in desperation. It comes out, but there's 5 shockwaves on his body. 5 shocks unused. Connor has 4 of his own. That's already popped one of his floppers to stay alive in the zone. It's just him, 21 mats, and a dream in game 5 to catch up to the rest of the top 5.
Yeah, he just saw someone as well, so he was trailing behind an enemy path. Being very cautious now. Still has 4 shockwaves. He can make some plays with this, but he does have to time it. He's got to be very careful. He needs to play for placement now, and that's what he's trying to do here. Can't make that edit again. That was 3 players waiting for him. This cone is his, though. He can do it. Yes, that's a great shot there. It's a white tag. Wasn't enough to get the conclusion, though. Now he's trying to go down for it. Shockwaves on through. Goes up. Tries to look to throw him out. And no, there's someone all the way up top. It's multiple there. He sends that guy flying. No more mats, though, to hold it out here. What is he going to do? The bouncer comes out. Oh, gosh, the pump. No, he didn't hit it. It was blocked just in time. Knobs is lit, though. Knobs doesn't have a lot of HP.
He leaves him behind. Noms goes straight down. Connor's not at the HP to survive. 500 IQ by Noms to take him down, and he gets 1 more placement. Noms gets traded. Dip is there. 134. Looks like he's in the lead for the whole tournament right now. Looking for the win as well. Sage, Dip, and DMA up against BHEGS on top. Is he going to be able to clutch this out? BX drops down, but no. Sage is there for the beam, but what a bunch of plays stringed together for the end of that victory royale.
And that's going to change the standings without a doubt. You saw that jumps them up to 141 points after game number 5. Remember, Reese, team 1 was dropped out. How does that change up what we're looking at now?
Well, I won't spoil it, but the leaderboards are coming. But it's a huge, huge impact, right? This team's been consistent every single game. And then he gets sniped by Gage immediately after Gage was sniped first. A little bit of back and forth between the sniper blows was massive because this just caused them to get focused by the entire lobbies. That RPG came in, all the shots from all the other teams came in, and that was just it over for them. So this left a kind of gap open for these other teams to catch up and take that first place slot.
That's the second time we saw Connor and crew play for that high ground towards the end there, but again, fizzle out of material and then take the fall damage out towards the end. But still, another consistent game. That means the leaderboards are going to look different here. Shyo, top 8 is going to be revealed here shortly. Let's see what the standings are looking like now.
129 points were the record to beat, and it was Mars 7, BHEGS all the way up on high ground. End up losing the game, but are in the lead coming into game 6, Reese.
Yeah, we see DMA kind of pull themselves up again. They were in 5th before this. That's their 2nd victory royale of the day. They've actually only had a single victory royale through all of the season so far. So pulling out all the stops today, 2 victory royales in one day, which is massive. You can see Fuzzy's team obviously is kind of pulled down from that 1st place slot into the 3rd. The maximum points, remember, you can get per game is 56, sorry, it's 56. So, you know, it's possible for these teams in 4th, 5th, and 6th to kind of take over that next slot and that 1st place slot. But really, it seems like it's possible in that it's a 3-horse race between the top 3 for that 1st place slot, though.
It's becoming that. I mean, look how close it is there. And man, for Fuzzy, Cinnamon, and Steve not to get a single point, that's a rough pill to swallow right there. But down towards the bottom, like we said, 6th place now. Finally, Connor exceeding Gage, break into the triple digits. And that's what this top page is looking to kind of line up as. Jelly, Mac, okay, and Speedy still here as well. That was the squad that we were looking out for coming into the heats. Here's our next page, 9 through 10. Remember, 11th place and above is really when you want to start getting into that top 10 here. Will go Rhino and King make it to top 10 still, maintaining their top 10 is what I should say. That's not too bad for a team that had a very bad game 1 and 2.
Yeah, and I'm looking at like names like Wells, like Tax, Sirius as well. We have Jock Crispy, guys who've been popping off but are not there in the top 10, have the potential. T-Flick, Cascade, and Titan, these guys arguably being the 2nd best squad of the entire tournament so far. 16th place right now. I mean, hopefully they can fix their game plan up, Reese, to be there in the top 10 after this final game.
They can, but you know, they're obviously kind of pulling some steam towards the end. They're moving up the leaderboards, but it's just not the performance that they had yesterday. It's not a dominant 1st place slot. You know, 16th is down for them, but still, they are possible to move up those thresholds by just this last big game, but they're really going to have to pull out all the stops.
And here it is as we're starting to really hit those back pages. Knobs, Green, and Burrito go from 32nd place up to 17th, so they're not looking to be the last place in the race here. They jump up a substantial amount. That's a big game for them. 52 points being the cutoff now to hit that prestigious first 2. But ultimately, these last games here, or this last game here, is going to be the deciding factor for everyone. How much scholarship money will you be able to walk away with here for the PlayVS Fall 20 College Championship? Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you guys that are here watching after this last game as well, we do have the roadmap announcement for what's coming next for the 2021 season as well. So stay with us. Stay tuned. There's still a lot more to come, not just this big game here.
Yeah, we have a lot more in tune. We'll have to take a little bit of a breather though. Stay tuned. Game 6 is coming up right after this break. There's a rumble in the jungle. A little bit of Jurassicness inside this park. That's right, we're talking about the stealthy stronghold, a new northern POI added to Fortnite with gameplay elements you used to find in Sunny Steps and Lazy Lagoon. We have rivers, trees, ruins, all encompassed inside unbreakable walls that have somewhat of quarantine doors you can walk through to be extra careful when getting hot inside this spot. Very difficult to fight though, lots of chests available as well as a reboot van. There's a lot of enclosed things and possible secrets to this POI as well. It comes fitted with a stealthy little basement that has its own chest spawns and benches available to be broken for gold bars. I'm wondering what type of lore there is available with this. Might be a bounty man's hideout, we'll see how that goes. But regardless, a lot of key places you want to be able to control inside this new POI. You can just kind of rotate out of here as well, going towards Pleasant, get your brick up, a little bit of metal, as well as a lot of wood available. If you find yourself in an end game over here, once again, be careful about those walls because you can't build through them, you can't break through them, you have to go above and around them. Enjoy Stealthy Stronghold in the new season of Fortnite, and let's see how it works inside the competitive game mode. In Season 5, a new terrain is added to the game in the name of Sand. Spread throughout the entire middle of the map, there's a lot more that meets the eye to this thing that's in addition to the new POIs. For starters, if you drop down into the sand by standing still for a few seconds, you can start to move fast, somewhat unnoticeable, all around the sand as long as you don't crash into any other type of terrain. Past that too, you can wait in hiding, barely noticeable for people around in the sand. It's very hard and a sneaky tactic. Here it is in use. If you see someone who's far away, you would usually not be able to sneak up on them without building or being noticed. You can quickly catch up with sand, get the drop, and throughout the entire main center portion of the map, we'll definitely see people utilizing this to be able to rotate fast, unseen, and possibly start some very, very crazy fights.
There's always a spark, a flicker, a brief disruptive force, an incitement to action, a moment where you say, I will not be pushed, and you find your reason to push back. What ignites you? Is it the moment, the teammates you shared with, or how you know that your path is no longer the same? What ignites you? When potential becomes talent, or when bonds prove stronger than adversity? Whatever ignites you, that's where PlayVS will be, a stage for you to shine. And it all begins with a spark.
A new POI has emerged out of the 0 point, and that is Hunter's Haven. It's located to the south side of the map on the hills where the Sentinel's graveyard used to be. This location also has a ton of IO soldiers that spawn around it. Difficult to eliminate because they have so much effective HP, however, you're guaranteed to get a rare tactical assault rifle from eliminating them, which is huge for ammo management. Since there's so many hills surrounding it, fighting in this area is really difficult because teams are always on these high points in the hills, shooting down at players who are down below. And speaking of hills, this is probably one of the best spots for Storm Surge in the game. It's a center map position, it already has hills surrounding it so that you can end up taking tags on players who are rotating all the way through. And this was true in previous seasons even when there wasn't a POI here, so this spot is gonna be hot. Like many of the new spots on the map, there's an underground bunker that has more loot and some indestructible walls here too. Who knows what this will play in the future, but I certainly wouldn't want to be stuck down here when the zone starts to pull in.
Tilted Towers is back, but with an extra pinch of salt on the side. That's right, one of the new POIs that we have on the center portion of the map is a combination of both classic Fortnite action POIs. That is
And there we have it. That's the quick hype trailer. Had to run it back for the one time. Shyo always bringing the right vibes. Guys, we're here to conclude, though, the PlayVS Fall 20 College Championship. This is the home of Scholastic Esports for the Fortnite community and the scene. Obviously, the PlayVS team has been delivering quite a spectacle here, right? And the community has really showed up in force. We've seen a great set of games now. And we're going to see what happens in the final moments here. There are 3 teams in the running, but realistically, maybe 6 or so.
maybe even more, because we've seen some insane pop-offs from like 30th place teams to accumulate almost the max amount of points you can get in a game, right? Like 15 Elam wins today, 16 Elams wins yesterday. I mean, Reese, is it a top 3 game or is it a little bit larger than that?
I hinted that it was a top 3 game earlier, but it's not. Let's be real. The largest percentage chance that these top 3 teams are going to take away with it. But I don't know what's happening to my voice, but anyone under that still has a chance at definitely popping off. Like we said, we've already seen 15 eliminations in a game, and that victory royale, we can see it again.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I heard you choking up there. You don't need to cry. I know lives are being changed here. Scholarship money is being given out. This is a wonderful thing we're all gathered here for. And of course, we couldn't be more honored to be delivering all this action. It's been very, very interesting so far. Steve, Cinnamon, and Fuzzy, they had the worst game of their run, I think, probably, honestly, in the last 8 or 9 weeks or so, because they've had nothing but top finishes alongside teams like Mars 7 and BHEGS, and they're doing really great as well. So this is a very much close competition up towards the top. Anyone who takes it at this point deserves it. But it looks like the final game is ready, guys. Here it is. We're jumping into the grand finals. Game 6, Play versus Fall 20 College Championship run right here, right now, Shyo.
Let's zoom right in. This is the final game. Remember, $100,000 on the line in total scholarship funds. First place will leave with $15,000, able to split 3 ways. Could it be split between DMA, Sage, and Dip? We're watching Dip down and drop towards the Coliseum, towards somewhere else, possibly Craggy Cliffs. We shall see. It might get really intense just off of the drop off of spawn.
Yes, sir. And here it is, DMA and them trying to get the move on here. And it seems like they're going to be going for the Orchard Farms. We haven't got to see their draw spot yet inside of these early game situations. The Coliseum's been one that's been fought out time and time again, round and round again, but they're being contested. Hold up. Someone's trying to mix up the storyline here. The shotgun was good. The pistol was a quick pickup. Okay, it's the full trio. They do manage to find something. I'm not too sure what's happening here, though. Was there a player there? There was, right on the roof.
Yeah, there must have been. There's more than 3 arrows online right now. DMA, Sage, and Dipper here, but there's definitely another squad that's jumping around. It's Mike. These guys have still not found a home. These guys are still shambles off of the drop for loot, and once again might still be taken out before having any say in this final game.
For sure. And this is that intense moment right here. Your tournament, your first place run is on the line right now because someone landed on you. You don't have the advantage to kick it off. But wait a second, they do get the first knock. That is a massive swing, not only for confidence, but for the situation at hand. 3v2. They now have the advantage. He's going to walk right up here. Drop this player, gets attacked with shotgun off the hate. Something's better than nothing. Looking a lot better now with that shotgun as well. Step in the right direction for them.
Definitely a good step, but once again, this trio is leaps and bounds ahead of everyone else in the lobby. Currently second place, looking to see exactly how they can even further their lead. But at the same time, all the trios that are fighting right now seem to be very sticky. Even if picks end up happening, one individual ends up surviving. That's been Cut's story time and time again. Can this trio of Cut, Flicks, and Sash finally live up to expectations, beat Kinster off the rip? It might be possible when Flicks has a flank like this.
Yeah, he's on the way here. Cut and Sash stepping on up. They've been winning this fight a lot of the times, but Wills, hold up, has also been having their fair amount of success here. Fish Flicks on the run right now. Burns into all of his mats, the scramble, the panic, and he's out. He has to get to his teammates. Here they are. No mats left for him. I'm not sure if he's actually realized just yet, because they didn't split anything for him. Here he gets the farm, and that's going to set him up with at least 2 bills. Cut now. Here's his perspective. Blue charge. That's a great shot. Can edit someone in. 93. That was quick. Ooh, and the follow-up. Kinster's gone. He's down. He's out.
That's a big boom. It's so important for these guys to be able to win this fight too. 52 points right now. They're around 18th place. They want to hit that top 10 to get that prize boost, to get more scholarship funds. That's what the entire tournament has been about, as well as playing well, getting better at the game. Eyes as though on these guys' minds on the final game.
Here we have it. Still back and forth here, though. Anthem's on the other side of the wall. They do have the advantage, but again, was the res good is the real question. No, never mind. Cut did get to finish that one here. It's the push off. Anthem still has so much HP here to work with. He hasn't been punished just yet. This floor's weak. Where's this gonna go here? Oh no!
Flicks on his own, taken out. Now Sash and Cut have to pick up the pace, trying to make do for lost time. Inside the box, Cut with the triangle. Oh, the stair edits over and over again. Sash needs to get into this box fast just to get a great tack. He's trying to push forward and through. The ping too low on Wills. Finally, though, somewhere in the box, the yellowed ramp, he's in there. The tack shot, they actually whiff. Will survives.
It was good. It was all good. Not only that, he had the siphons to lean on as well. So Wills ends up clutching up for the team here, getting the 2 back-to-back there and the clutch save onto Anthems. Can they get Kinster's card in time? I believe so. And just like that, Salty Towers now, the team that is in the lead on the overall points, walks away successful here. And an airdrop just outside as well. So everything that you need now gifted to them to bounce right back into this game here for the final run now of the championship.
That was $1,000 fight. With that fight won, these guys get 77 points, almost tie up with the team in 10th place. So we'll see if they can push it forward. Connor, though, going down already. Exceed engage quickly there to box up, but it's BHEGS who are right in front of them. These guys were trying to drop on the first place team, and it is going disastrous. 2 people down, a full trio wipe. 7 Mars and BHEGS have a boost now in first place.
And there it is. That's a proper strategy, though. If you're top 10, you want to take out the kings on the throne, but the throne remains strong. The army just better up top, and just like that, they get wiped. But what do you expect, right? You really think about it. Let's talk about that. You go to a team's drop spot. I mean, they have the advantage, right? You really are throwing darts at the wall, blindfolded in that instance. But it is what it is. We've seen 2 teams now challenge these high-placing teams and get wiped out.
I mean, it'd be the smartest thing to do, you know? If it's not the first place team, second or third, you take them down first and just go on a bounty expedition or an expedition, right? Going for more top place teams. That's how you go from 5th to 1st when the point deficit is that high. But unfortunately, the plan gets stopped in the blueprint phase. These guys don't make it off spawn. For Noms, Burrito, and Green, though, 58 points. Gotta remember, you want to hit around, at this moment, 80 points to be in that top 10. So they're a little bit behind. That is the goal they're searching for, the goal they're aiming for. That's when the pricing becomes higher. And so far, finally, they have an uncontested drop spot at Holly Hedges.
But let's not forget, like 2 rounds ago, they were in 32nd. So for a team to really jump up this far up, I mean, they turned online a little late into the competition, but at least they get to see some fruits of their labor here. Talk about Holly Hedges being uncontested, maybe, but since the zone is here, look at how many players have now migrated down towards this drop spot here. It is a hot contestation right now. Players outside moving in. Legendary tactical shotgun here for the Doinks. He's pretty happy about that. They already have 2 eliminations too. 70 players remaining. And you can see the desperate act from other players right now, trying to pop off, pull anything together here to really close any deficits and maybe make some more funds here for the prizing.
Controlling other people's deficits is going to be the thing Harmony, Harsh, and Control want to do. Definitely don't want to give anything up. 119 points will currently keep them at around 4th and 3rd place, but I want to make sure they stay there. Don't dwindle out of that top 10. You never know how many sub top 10 place teams can do well this game. We've seen the monster. These guys stay alive. They end up so strong, so well in almost every endgame we've seen in the grand finals today.
Yeah, for sure. There it is. The movement through 119 points. First place is what? 159? Was it 158? Something up there.
Started the game like 154. They got 3 elims and more placement galore. So they should probably be above like or at 160 right now.
Yeah, that's a gap. That's a gap. I mean, Reese said they had what, a 23% chance or so taking this entire tournament.
Like 24.5, and now it's like
even more.
I would say it's 50-50.
It's
honestly.
even more.
What is this, Noms? Nice try.
Hey,
but no chance, Bucko.
We knew it. We knew it. There was too many players moving on the outskirts here, trying to get into the new storm, into the safety of this new zone here. This is the center area, more or less. The most center POI here. Makes sense for players to be here. This lobby is thinning out ASAP here. Titan, Cat and Flick on the other side. Green's looking in. There's no way he can take them on. He's going to back up here. Possibly play for the card, since it seems like they've already moved out. Happy with their elims. A fight breaking on just north as well. And they're going to be sliding up into that battle. Would not be surprised if their team walks away with a ton of eliminations here now, because they're steamrolling. They're looking to play off the momentum here.
So many teams playing fast. Already 65 people alive in the zone. That means everyone's dropping like flies.
I'm okay with it.
Like the Furious gameplay.
I'm down with the action right here. It's been a very methodical weekend from the heats to the grand finals. This final round, though, everyone's like, all right, It is what it is. We've made it this far. Let's have some fun. Let's pop off. Let's push some teams. We're getting a little different taste of the play versus scene. I like it.
Other side of the coin. If we were watching heads, now we're on tails. At some point, I think we're grinding the side of that coin too. Some crazy things happening this weekend.
Here's the other side. Mogul on the high ground. Instinct and Kmart. Full control of the battle here. Mind you, they were the ones that were in this fight initially. So all of a sudden, the late rotators lose all the advantage when they should have had the high ground hold. Shockwaves to get into any box here if they really want to. Mogul finds them.
He's trying his best to put down the pressure, but T-Flick does not want to give this up easily. Mogul is level 44, will need like at least 10 eliminations and a top 5 finish to be able to make top 10. So see if we can pull that out. IW today, I mean, just a lot of aggressive gameplay, a lot of picks from Instinct, but at the same time, they're always trades. Like he would get one and get knocked down. We've seen all the top teams just have their trio alive and well all the way till the end game. These kerfuffles, these fights in between are just always a hindrance.
Yeah, no one wants to take a fight, especially this late in the competition, especially if you're high up on the standings, trying to get your way there. Let's see what Kmart and crew can do, though. One team's already left. We saw the shockwaves come out. We saw the disengage happen. The other squad is still based up down below. And again, they've really invested a lot into the fight. They have invested so much material. Lots of hard mats here is going to be a great find, though. Might as well eat the slurpfish, correct. Shots come in from the distance, though. Looks like it's going to re-engage again.
Imagine if he ate that fish and got insta just double dinked.
That would have been sad.
That's too sad. I would just stop playing right there.
I mean, they're at 44 points. They're just trying to do whatever they can. There it is. Opportunity. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Little 99 tag. Cascade shield's gone.
I'm wondering and checking out exactly where our first place team is at the moment, how they're looking after that big fight at the early game. Gotta remember, this is the final game of the college championship for 2020 for this season. $100,000 on the line. Lots of builds, lots of fights. What a way to end it out too. Just aggression, everyone throwing it all down on the line, playing their win conditions, how the scene has grown to understand what they need to do to elevate, to win. Right now, T-Flix, he's a lot more than just strategy or game plans. Needs a miracle to get out of here and get Cascat the health he needs.
Yeah, and there's a whole trio down below as well. Derpy, Arrow, and Dylan there. They've been having a rough day too. These are, again, teams from Heat 1 that were just shining. But all of a sudden today, man, today just hasn't been their day. Neither was the top players from Heat 2 as well, right? Connor, Gage, and Exceed obviously getting wiped out of the competition here now. Had a great showing in the Heat 2. Had a great showing here today overall when you really think about it. But 1 or 2 bad games and that's it.
Two top teams right now or 2 of the top 5 teams right now are from Maryland that we're watching. That's going to be Controls trio, John Hopkins. And then one all the way on top. One of them is on the screen right now for the moment. Got a big pick, but a little bit of white HP cost. It'll be easy for these guys to bring it way back up.
That's right. That University of Maryland here stepping up. I'm giving a shout out to everyone all day long. It's been crazy. Again, this is one of the only leagues, honestly, in the space that has somewhat of a faction base, right? I mean, built around the college teams. You have to play with people in your school or like in your district, right? If I'm not mistaken.
They got to be going to the same institution. It's kind of like, you know, what everyone's been asking for since day one, that org-based gameplay.
This is it.
Play with the same trio over time. There's minimal switches going on overall. It's good to break down.
Let's see though, still more to be moving up here. DMA, Sage, again, a team that can realistically fight for first place. These are the stories you want to follow up with. These are the stories you want to see. Big shockwave here in the inventory. Upgraded charge shotgun as well. Control and Harmony just nearby. That's another team that can realistically take this away. All we need is those other squads to fall, or a couple elims to fall in favor of one of these squads here. It's a big gap for Harmony and crew, but not impossible. Not just yet.
At some point, BX has to go down. At some point, DMA has to have a chance to rise up. But if both teams stay alive, could just be wraps.
There, finally, Cascat finds Burrito in the feed there. So they were down to 2. It was looking pretty sloppy, but it seems like the fight finally breaks out. Dylan, Green, Derpy all exchange shots. That was the mess outside of Holly. It was inevitable. They had to rotate to the new storm line either way. And the zone's going to favor that side of the map now. Again, see bouncers in the inventory. Does Dip have a shockwave? It looks like they might. They're setting up here. Yes. They're setting up for the shockwave through. Let's see how far it's going to get them. Who are they going to be able to land on top of? Trying to get into a better spot now. Oh, I thought they were going for the old school version of the shockwave. You get on top of the little ledge, do the U-shaped staircase. I'm like, okay.
Classic Season X?
Yes,
Nah.
sir.
Not here. We're advanced. I'm not sure when they're going to send it. I think it might just be greeting for a few shots or biding time until everyone else is based up and they have a higher base than everyone else. It'd be nice, but right now trios are still dropping by the beach, in the grass, in the skies. Doesn't matter. It's game 6, baby. You want to get those elims in fast and first. There is the second place trio going for a hike take somewhere at the southern portion of the zone. Fuzzy, Steven, Cinnamon now down in 3rd place. We're holding the lead the whole time and now have to grab that trophy back, Monster.
Yeah, they're not in first place anymore. 132 points. They're about 17 points off of the team we were just watching. It was at 149. That's a fair amount of placements. That's a fair amount of eliminations. It may not seem like a lot, but it is a big gap, especially when the other team is in the round and healthy with mobility. This is anyone's game now. This is going to come down to wits and endgame skill, which Fuzzy, Steve, and Cinnamon, they've had multiple high placing finishes, only one of which of the games they've gotten taken out a bit earlier than they would have liked.
A VOD review, I think, is the thing I hope these guys have done in terms of what happens when you're behind surge. What have other teams done? This is one of the things. Vertical fire, a triple barrage, but no one gets dropped down. No damage is done. Another team, though, goes down. That elevates them overall. 186 damage. Now 309. A lottery might have been won somewhere. Some Powerball, but they're looking good now, Monster.
Definitely. Let's see, though. Starving Bosch here. 40 points. Not too bad here. Definitely not where they want to be, but playing this game out in full. Trying to make it all come to life right now. Zas and Rich Gang here are the ones hanging out just nearby. Single elimination. Take a look at that. 7 peppers for the rotate. 2 bouncers as well. Plenty to work with, and they just have to cut down. This is a zone that luckily does not pull to the beachfront in the water. Instead, it's going to go straight down south. Let's see. Here comes the big movement. Oh, it's going to be a raw shockwave. We know that's going to throw them all over the place. It's going to cost them more mats than it would have just to set up a proper style wave. Still, though, they do end up with one another and a wide base to work off of. Duke lit up on the beachfront there as everyone's trying to rotate in nice and late here.
There's a team swimming the whole zone in the ocean, trying to find that back deep pocket on the south side. But there's a little bit of, I would say, a mountain. I don't know. I'm trying to combine traffic jam with some mountain reference.
I mean, that's why I just use red light, you know, just
red light. Okay, true. I mean, there's a huge red light. Look at the amount of trios now stuck in that pocket on the south side, and more people from the zone will look in, trying to get that surge. We've seen it's popped in the 7th zone almost every single game. Fuzzy, Steven, Cinnamon, they're looking for shots too. not letting anyone get by for free. The worst thing that can happen right now, Monster, is this zone pulls towards the top left once it closes in the next 20 seconds. That would send everyone's game into complete chaos.
Yeah, I mean, if it goes the wrong direction, that's it. It's all over. Let's see, though. Man, Fuzzy's still in this. They're still very much healthy as well. The material count looking great. This is the team you want to watch, guys. Once again, Season 0 champions are still in this game here. Sage, DMA, and Dip. A squad that hasn't had many victory royales up until this point today has already pulled out a multiple runs of victory royales. Can they do it again? Will they do enough to outperform the Season 0 champions? Or will we have back-to-back champions here today? Let's see. DMA and crew do have the shockwave. They're looking to set it up right here, right now. Bouncer comes out. Out they go. They break some builds. But no, the air wasn't clear. The tree was a mistake. And now they have to make move. And honestly, Sage doesn't even have a lot of mats. He doesn't have a lot to work with.
He's by himself too. Is this team around him at all? I don't think so. That'd be over for these guys. That or just a two-man operation. Everyone else is all the way in the front side of Storm. We already saw 7 and BHEX taking that spot. There is DMA and Dip. Sage has to just wait for everyone else to move first, but these are all hard mats. It'll be very difficult for him to catch up. He's trying his best.
Cinnamon's down. That's one of the trios. One player down already. Cinnamon. That means it's up to Steve and Fuzzy to clutch up. And I mean, it's not looking good for DMA and Dip. They do find another knock. Luckily enough, they do get together as well. Okay, so they're back in the running here. And Chug Splash's weapon upgrade too. It seems like first place team might be able to run away with this. As I say it though, DMA gets punished big time on the outside of the storm line. And now down to 12 HP. This is a fight. This is a fight for $100,000 here. Will you be able to take home the crown and the championship? No time to take a zone tick here. Has to change layer. The movement is good though. The read is great. Back to the teammate he goes. And he realizes in that instance he had Chug Splashes. It could have ended. Sage's game is ended. He's out. DMA gets tagged too.
It looked like BHEX is now last alive. 7 and Mars are down. DMA's looking over. This is second place. Looking to beam first. BHEX, 1 HP moving forward. Hinster goes down to DMA. These might be the most crucial elims of the competition so far. What happened to DMA? DMA got confused. He hurt himself in his own confusion and goes down to zone.
Yeah, he falls into the zone trying to get the siphon there, and it wasn't enough. And now Sage is also out the game. 7 and Mars are out the game. The standings, they're mixed up here. They're mixed up. And there it is. You can see in the feed there. DMA's feed that pulls through. Zas finds a couple of them there. BHEX falls as well. Now it's up to who sent.
Wait,
trying to do something big here.
That's first and second out. I guess this controller must have died or something, but that's it for first and second overall. Travesty, but that means possibly even fourth place to climb up and take that first spot.
Control.
It's possible.
Here they
it's possible
are.
for Harsh Harmony Control.
They can. There's so much more placement to be made here. We know how much it's worth if you get that first place. There's upwards of 50 points here for placements. So this is very much possible. They have to take this whole game though. Harsh, Control Harmony, already on 4 eliminations. That's a big gap closer. Working as a 3-man trio. Yes, they hit some shots, but no siphon comes out of it. No elims either. The bully through. This is just chaos on every layer.
They're trying. There's the big shot, 136 right now. They need to pass 160 though. I don't think it's going to be that possible. I think it's even past 160 with all the placement that we saw BHEX have. See what ends up dropping down. These guys are still being a little bit too complacent. They're not pushing boxes enough to be able to win the entire tournament. The top 10 will definitely be shaken, but it looks like for first place, Maryland might just hold on because no one can touch the point lead.
Yeah, they need a jump down. They need these elims. There's still so many players alive. 12 elims are available here. Another knock is going to go on there. High Flex at Haven. Django falls there too. Opportunity dwindling away. One at a time now, but still, if they can close out strong here, it's going to be huge. Another team looking to change things up though too. AJ, Shario, and Chris Dot. So it is a battle for placement still. Nonetheless, it's top 5. No one is safe there. Harmony finds a few more now in the feed.
We'll wait and see what Height ends up doing next. Big beams drop down. Jaw Crispy Smarty fighting to get back into that top 10, fighting for the placement. Big shot onto AJ, and that's one big fragger down. Smarty goes straight up top again, possibly to split mats, possibly just to stay and combine the drop down, actually staggering it first. Smarty staying up for the longest amount of time possible. Harsh and Control, the ones alive down below. They go for shots. Tracer had Smarty with the last charge pump. It's there. It's charged up. Control though dodges it. One flopper in play. There's the shot, and Smarty wraps up game 6. But it is the University of Maryland that stays in first. I believe it must be Mars, BHEGS, and 7 who end up with that first place spot.
Reese, tell it to us, man. You got to watch it from the outside first. That was a very close run, nonetheless. A tight race to the finish there.
Let me set the scene for you a little bit here. Our first, second, and third place teams, Fuzzy, DMA, and Mars's teams, ended up placing 13th, 14th, and 15th. So first, second, third, 14th, 15th. Crazy consistency between them. It left it so open for Control and for Shyo's team just to pop off in this endgame. Now, we do think, as Shyo's already said, that Mars has taken that first place slot. However, what's happened underneath that? You know, also, we've not confirmed the first place slot, but let's see.
We'll find out right now. The leaderboards are ready, guys. Let's go ahead and crown our Play versus Fall 20 champion. It is going to be Mars, 7, and BHEGS who take it with a lead, just a barely thin lead here. The margin was so slim. Look at how close second and third place teams were. Oh my gosh. And just like that, that is how it all unfolds. They get the lion's share of the scholarship prizing.
Oh my goodness, that last play from Control to stay in Storm, to clutch up with the elims with Harsh, got these guys pushed forward to second place. What a clutch, and what a performance the whole day too from DMA, Sage, and Dip there, Reese.
All of these teams in the top, huge performances, but kind of as you said, Control, Harsh, and Harmony, that last game really popping off, picking up 10 eliminations and second place for that. And like you said, a single play, a single elimination has taken them up into that second place slot. Incredible consistency from them throughout an entire season and today, and that's a well-deserved second place.
The crazy part is the Victor Royale in those final elims would have been just, again, the difference maker for some at some point or another throughout the day. It really comes down to just such a slim margin at the top. And you know everyone's going to be beating their heads as they go back and look at what unfolded. But again, University of Maryland is going to be on top this time around as your Play versus Fall 20 college champions. Here's the final standings, guys. Here's a last look at all the other players that participated in the grand finals. Big thank yous and shout outs to everyone that competed within the heats. There were still plenty of other players that got to win, prizing the top 50 best performing teams, even out of yesterday's heats, did also win some prizing. Everyone here today is equally a winner if you made it to grand finals. So what Play Versus has done for the entire community that they have built is nothing short of phenomenal, because everyone here wins some money no matter what.
Absolutely. And past this to down to 30 seconds, these guys all walk away with that $1,000 worth of scholarship funds like Monster was talking about. And everyone, I feel like, had one game at least, from the heats to the grand finals, from the 12 we played, to really show their prowess and stay on top.
And that we did, and you've seen that through consistently, that the fact that all of the players who played very well throughout all of the weeks of qualifiers, all of the weeks through the heats, or the 2 heats, are really playing so consistently again here today. But it's great to see these other teams kind of pop off and be so good.
Yeah, and lucky for us, we are going to be able to hear from our winners. So I'm not sure who or which captain we have in here. I see Mars and BHEGS inside the Discord right now. We might even have the full trio. Yes, 7 is here as well. Who's going to be speaking on behalf of the trio to kick it off? It looks like BHEGS is going to unmute first. BHEGS, my man, congrats on making it this far.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So obviously, this is a very big deal. It was a close run towards the top in those final instances, in those final moments when you guys fell early and in the lead up. Did you think that you might have just thrown the entire competition away?
Yeah, I think we were a little bit worried when we saw we were contested at Misty that last game. We were kind of anticipating that, though. But we ended up winning that off spawn, which is obviously super important. But even in the mid game and the late game, we were getting targeted super hard. So we just built up a big enough lead that it didn't matter. But yeah, we were definitely worried for a bit there, I'd say.
Nice. Yeah, my question's basically for you, BX, like, you know, from the practice server in terms of, like, you know, practicing there in the early days, you know, cash cups to FNCSs. what for you made PlayVS so unique and its own experience and its old type of like, you know, skill level? What was so good about PlayVS compared to all the other competitions?
Well, for me, like, it was really fun meeting new people, like with my school, being able to like create friendships, you know, with Fortnite. Because I think everyone can attest to that. They have their own friend groups and in Fortnite itself, in the pro scene, but it's really cool to meet people from your college as well and get to know them. But along with that, the games are also really stacked. You know, like people say like, oh, it's a college league, we know, but we have Surge every single circle, you know, 50 people moving every game. So the competition level is really high as well.
Yeah, the competition level is clearly high, and you guys have been the most consistent team throughout all of these kind of qualifier weeks, the regular seasons, and now into this season as well, into the finals. So what was kind of differences between this new update, right? The new season of Fortnite has dropped. What kind of things did you have to adapt to, and how did you change your playstyles for that?
Yeah, so I think we were pretty excited when the new update came out. A lot of the really strong POIs were removed, like Stark and Doom. So that definitely brought Misty up the leaderboard in terms of the strongest POIs. So, yeah, Misty uncontested was for sure a help in our win, but Shockwaves as well. We practiced a lot with Shockwaves. Super important mobility item for this patch, so I think that was our key to success.
I did want to talk about this before we like conclude things up and wrap it up. Like, what was your practice regimen like, man? You're coming into a new season. It's been a while since we had like a major tournament right off the bend of a brand new season. This is something you've been preparing weeks for, right? So you didn't know when you started this journey 8 weeks ago and you guys were building up that it'd land here. What was, two questions, what was that like when you found out, oh snap, this is happening on the brand new season? And then what was your practice regimen like coming into this?
Yeah, so leading up like the 8 weeks of regular season, we played every week because, you know, obviously it's important to build chemistry with people that you've never played with before. So we focused a lot on playing the weeks specifically in PlayVS and also like creative and practicing mechanics and team box fighting, stuff like that. And then when the new season dropped, I think it was, our plan didn't really change that much. Fishing became really strong, which kind of worked well with Misty. We got a lot of fishing, and then really just Shockwave rotates. Overall, though, we're generally like a low and mid-ground team, so our game plan kind of stayed the same, I would say.
It's pretty sick. Things seem like they just went in your favor, obviously, in the weeks and lead up and tonight. So once again, I want to congratulate you to being the PlayVS Fall 20 College Championship. I just want to say the trophy is sick, so congrats on you guys earning those. I want to give you the floor though, really quickly. B-Hex, shout your boys out, Mars and Seven, because this is a team effort. You guys all did it. Give yourself a plug as well before we let you guys go for the night.
All right, my Twitter is B_Hegs. That's really all I want to shout out. Mars and Seven can shout there and stuff.
Twitch.tv/Mars_FN. I don't stream that much, but when I do, it's pretty awesome, so tune in.
There you go. And Seven?
Twitch.tv/7, double N's. YouTube is the same, and Twitter is 7_TV.
Sick. Well, once again, thank you guys. Thanks for hopping on and being a part of this whole PlayVS journey. This is just what 2020 had installed for you guys, and I'm sure 2021 is going to be just as amazing and awesome. Speaking about that, we definitely have the roadmap and some announcements to hit off here, which we'll do right here, right now. For those of you guys that stuck around to the very end, thank you guys for being here and sticking around. For the 2021 spring season, Rocket League and Fortnite are coming back, but along with some new titles here, FIFA 21, Madden 21, NFL, Overwatch, and more to be announced later. But not only that, they're running trios and solos, which you can participate in both. So you no longer can only play one game mode. You'll be limited, no more, right? You'll have more options. Solos and trios will be available. And not only that, if $100,000 was a lot to you, well, guess what? Things are going to be hopping up a little bit more. Actually, 2 times as much. 200K in prizing will be available in scholarships for you guys. And of course, that's because we have multiple game modes here before you guys. The season's still 100% free. And one more major change for all of you guys at home to understand is that players will no longer need coaches to participate. Enrollments begin tomorrow. All you need to do is register with your school email address, and you can create and manage your own teams now. This is a big change. This allows you guys to really take control of this entire season yourself, and enrollments begin ASAP. Wake up early tomorrow, get up in there, earn some money.
Nice. So no coaches. We've got trios and solos. We've got $200,000 in the spring split for PlayVS College. It's going to be an awesome 2021, man. I'm hyped for it, Monster. Reese, what about you, man? How was everything today in total? How was the tournament? What are you looking forward to for the next season?
This tournament was actually fantastic. The quality of games, as Beggs already said, was amazing. Storm Surge in every kind of zone you could possibly have, nearly all of the games, and throughout the heats as well. So a really, really high quality of games, something I was really interested in watching. It's rare that you see something this good as well, so really great. Coming up, you know what, a controversial opinion between a lot of people. I love solos. I love, actually, and more importantly, I love watching and breaking down solos as well. So I'm very excited to see that coming out forward in the next season.
And Shyo, answer that question as well. What's up with you, man, before we end up closing out the show here tonight?
I'm liking the fact that we'll see the same people in solos and trios, right? I want to see the relationship of how can one person translate the gameplay from one to the other. How will the winners here, you know, show up again, hopefully, next season and show that they can hold on to their crowns, their trophies, their titles, that ongoing story, the connections. That's what I'm looking forward to the most in the future.
Hey, you guys heard it from the big brains themselves here on the finals stage. What a great day. What a great finale. Couldn't have asked for a better team to do it with. On behalf of the PlayVS team and the production crew over at the practice server, we thank you guys, of course, for tuning in, following the action. Hopefully, you all enjoyed it. Stay tuned for PlayVS 2021 season. It is just around the corner, guys. And that's it for me, MonsterDface, ShyoWager, Reisshub, and the crew in the back. We'll catch you guys at the next one. So stay tuned and load up on that battle bus.